Okay. If you call this meeting to order, please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He's only been noticed, I couldn't move the flag, and we got 2 flags in the last meeting.
Where's the other one?
I hid it in the back room. Because under Robert's rules, the flag is supposed to be behind us and to the right of the chair.
To the right, yep.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Caucus.
Here.
Mrs. Passio.
Here.
Mr. Ranieri.
Here.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yeah, here.
Mr. Farrell.
Yeah, here.
Mrs. Kelly's not here. Mr. Root.
Yes, here.
It's going to be Mr. Long.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Bayshore.
Here.
And Mr. Diori.
Here.
Okay, statement. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board of the Borough Clerk's office on January 3rd, 2018, and 2, emailed to the retrospective clerk post on January 3rd, 2018. A new business discussion for this meeting. Discussion of resolution to release performance bond for Bennett Valley City. This is the sports depot. I think the engineer sent a letter over saying that this was okay, and I think our lawyer, our attorney.
It wasn't me, but I would assume so.
Yeah.
I can double check.
Yeah, I think it was. There's no real discussion on that, correct? Discussion of New Jersey Housing Code Ordinance. Mr. Knight, I think reviewed this. This had to do with, am I remembering this? I don't know.
See if I can find it.
Something that we have to adopt so that the county can enforce them. Does that make
The
sense?
county's asking us to do it. Where is it?
You guys remember seeing something?
Here's a copy of
Something just with
Hatfield.
the homes?
It was like, yeah.
That was a while ago. I do remember.
This came from for the head of the Board of Health, Pascal Nwako, and he's asking everyone to adopt the Public Health Nuisance Code, which we've already done years ago, and the New Jersey State Housing Code. Keith reviewed it and said that he doesn't see any problem with it, that we should do it. Len had some concerns because he doesn't understand why we need to adopt something that's already a statute. That was Len's
Oh, that's
comment.
it. Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
But
So,
I think we're okay with it. I understand Glenn's whole point. It's a state statute. Why are we adopting a state statute? But the county, I guess because the county's doing our Board of Health. You understand how that works?
is that why?
You can always reaffirm something.
Well,
It's a state
but
statute.
I told her what the concerns were of our solicitor. She emailed me back and said they will not, this enables the county to enforce.
Act in
it
our
for us.
favor.
So let's just do it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
So the housing ordinance, okay. Discussion of resolution to have tax sale premium escheat to the borough. Do you want to explain this one?
This is a lien on a property that did not, the lien was foreclosed on. So if it doesn't redeem within 5 years, or if it becomes a foreclosure, that means that it'll never get redeemed if it's foreclosed. So we get the premium.
Which was $7,000?
$7,100, so we'll do a resolution for that.
Okay. So we get to keep the money. Discussion of recreation agreement. Jim, you want to go over that one?
Yeah, just want to update everybody. I've been working with Len and Dan, Len/Dan, on coming up with an agreement. The good news is I've made some contact with Recreation, most notably the soccer commissioners, Tim and Shell. I can't pronounce their last name, but they've been very, very helpful. They have facilitated all of the schedules. We have them. We have them logged in. We know now when everybody's playing. It'll help us be able to serve them better as far as the maintenance of the fields. And we're getting there. We have their address to add to this agreement. So I'm looking for the next seasons to have this agreement where it lays out all the expectations of us and all the expectations of the recreation department, so the recreation people, so that there's no misunderstanding. So we're making really good progress.
Baseball seems good, too, right?
Baseball is still a work in progress, but I did receive an email that had a very shortened to the point schedule. We know when we're playing, put it that way, so.
You want to segue right into the trash collection? We're not doing a bid, but the agreement. Did you want to talk
Yeah,
about that?
the trash collection, Harry would have been able to talk more on it also, but we had a meeting with Joe Ciano
From Belmar.
from Belmar, and we had a good initial discussion as far as like what we want and what they're offering us. So right now they're offering us 1 year, and pretty much, I think it's close to a 4% increase from the prior year, which, considering gas costs and other rules and laws that have went into effect, it's reasonable. The one thing that we're working on now is apartment complex pickup. Right now, we pay for 3 apartment complexes. We pay them their cost to have the trash removed. And we're trying to get that embedded in this contract to, hopefully it'll come out to be less than what we're paying now. And we have to look at how we're paying the apartments too. Harry has come up with some rules and regulations that maybe we might be paying them more than we have. I've already cut it a lot, but it's still a work in process. Whichever way we go, whether we put Belmar into the mix with the apartment complex, one of them, Oak Ridge, the smallest one, we still have the other 2 to do. But in the past 10 months, we've made significant progress in the apartment complex trash removal. And we also are hoping to, they offered 1 year for our contract. We're hoping to maybe get 2 years out of it, more of a relationship. So,
Hopefully, there is some change going over there, but I think the recommendation is that we continue this, no matter what we do. The question becomes the apartments, I think.
Yes.
Doing a little bit of math on the apartments.
right.
But that's a cost that we have to look at.
Right, we will, but we're making good progress, and I don't see any reason why we won't have a contract going into the new year.
Okay. This is all you, discussion of crossing guards, unemployment costs.
Okay, crossing guards. Patty has been helping me, sending me literature, different things, raising my awareness as far as what we're doing with crossing guards, how we're handling it now. Joyce has helped also. We've reached out to companies to find out if there are other ways to handle crossing guards than we do now. I've talked to unemployment, New Jersey Division of Labor, and I've identified that we are paying unemployment for the crossing guards because of their hours and their rate of pay. And there's really nothing we can do regarding that. However, I've been working with this business administrator, Sean McCarron, and Dan Murray. We've been getting together and we're trying to get the schedules tightened up where we possibly could reduce the hours of the crossing guards.
And the reason is, how much is the unemployment? What was the issue that brought it up? The 25,000, is that what
Right,
it was?
it was the unemployment. The 25,000 was the total for the whole borough, but I think the portion attributed to the crossing guards was easily 2/3 of that. However, if we tighten up the hours and the savings from the hours and at no effect of the children, those hours that we can save could help subsidize the workers' comp. Right, so while we may be stuck with workers' comp, not workers' comp. Unemployment, we may have a way to make, in the whole picture, save on that.
Save on. Okay.
So we're working on it, and I have a meeting with Dan Murray.
Okay. And you were talking about,
What about their job duties? Like Eleanor sent a letter to the chief in regards to what Mel is doing, like 65% of accidents are up. So,
you're talking about the responsibilities of crossing guards
Right,
from the health,
exactly.
from the insurance company.
Exactly, because sitting in a car, to me, doesn't make a crossing guard able to see a child that's coming, because that's what they do, they sit in a car.
Crossing
So-
guards are not supposed to be sitting.
They're
in the car.
not.
And I talked to Dan, who is in charge of crossing guards, and he assures me that sitting in the car is not allowed, and if they see it, they will stop it. But
I mean, they sit in a car,
Right
they-
across the street.
They sit in the car, they
She's
talk.
the first one.
They're on their cell phones,
Right.
they
They're
go on
distracted, is what
Facebook.
you're saying.
Absolutely distracted. I actually passed the vehicle and there wasn't anybody in the car.
So we are looking into that, we're looking into their performance on their job.
Okay?
I'm working with Dan Murray regarding that performance and making sure that situations like that don't occur. And obviously, anything
We're
like that
talking
would
about
put
the
the children at
crossing
risk
guards and-
No.
for any given purpose. So we are taking a look at all those factors, and we're making good progress with that. And we're hoping to come up with something by the end of the year, definitely by the next school year, that will revamp our crossing guard system.
And this is
Good.
all-
Financially and performance-wise.
Operationally.
That's what we're
The
looking.
safety of our children.
Yeah, I saw-
Absolutely.
You know, all the interest of this.
That's the number one drive.
It's all about the safety of our kids.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the number one drive.
Yeah.
That's what.
absolutely.
Jim, I think these were all you, discussion of spending freeze.
Okay, I've had the liberty to go through our budget and each department through August, I believe it is, and have identified that there are some areas in the borough where the budget is tight, very tight. So through the end of the year, I'm going to be sending an email out next week, asking everybody to understand that. And even though there may be money in their budget that they think that they can spend, as a borough, we're all in this together, our budget is very tight. So the only thing that will be spent the last quarter of the year are going to be our fixed costs, electric, gas, salaries, things that we have to pay to keep the operations going. From the beginning of the year to now, we have done amazing things in this borough. We have improved the infrastructure of just the building and the departments, and giving them technology, giving them just ways to make their jobs so efficient. For example, construction is going to be deploying their iPads that they have, which is going to make their jobs so much more efficient, even for the residents. It'll be real time. That's just one example. I have a bunch of examples, but bottom line is that we have enough projects that we've accomplished and are still in progress right now to take us through the end of the year. You know, right now, my job has turned from kind of the business administrator portion of developing new things through the borough to the accounting part. I need to take a look at the budget, get ready for next year's budget, prepare for debt statements. There's journal entries, boring accounting stuff that you probably don't want to be burdened with. But we are going to watch our expenses through the end of the year, hopefully build up some surplus and be financially strong.
For next year.
For this year,
Okay.
Well,
So
what-
the reasoning for the tight budget is that,
He doesn't want to take on more. I'll just piggyback on it.
well, you know my public.
Yeah, you're very aware of your contract, I mean, your budget, so your line items, you're in good shape. I think some of the concerns is, we're supposed to be at, what, 67% of our budget at this point. I think some people are a little higher, some people are a little lower, but I think we're doing okay. I think what Jim's trying to say to all of us is let's not try to take anything new on until December, because if we pull something new in, like I'm walking something on tonight, where does the money come from? And things like that. It's a good argument. Why start something if we haven't
You
finished
told
something
us
else?
where it's coming from.
I did.
but in reference to your budget, that's a good example, Pat. Anything that's budgeted for
You're
right
good.
now, you're good. It's the additional extra things that, to be quite honest, we have been doing this year. We have been doing a little bit of
We did a little
extra.
extra stuff.
And that's why this time of the year, it's time to just tighten our belts and get through the end of the year and what we've done and accomplished.
But the money's already budgeted, like the Halloween party is already there, so you don't have to worry about that. But we don't want a department to go out there and decide to do a new project in the next.
We don't want to have a mood bounce to the Halloween party.
Yes.
So keep going then,
That's
Jim.
a lot.
Discussion of security cameras, you want to just, Marlene, do that? Question?
See, these are all the good things that we've been doing throughout the year. Security cameras, Harry and I were able to get 2 quotes. We found a vendor for the lowest price. It's our managed IT service. They came in and gave us a reasonable price.
What was it?
I think it came in about $28,000. And, you know, I just wanted to get everybody's thoughts of that. Not only that, we have terminated our business with Premier Technology Solutions. They were the managed IT for police. They were kind of a stopgap in between local IT, you know, getting their head around the borough. Now they're going to be moved, they're going to be taking over. They're more hands-on, they're more available, they get along with all the residents, all the police officers, everyone in the borough. So what I want to do, we do have some money put aside for the cameras in capital. The managed IT, we have money put aside for that in the budget. And, you know, we're ready to do so.
So you're ready to pull the trigger on the cameras?
The cameras and.
Do you need, the council has to authorize this, or was already in the bond?
Yeah, it's already in the bond.
So-
I just wanted to bring it up and see what.
Yeah, and let me just, because I didn't see it, I think I might have saw it, maybe if everybody wants to see it, I think there's a lot of cameras, there's 30 or so, 32 cameras moving. Remember, we had the incident with somebody here, with a chair, more cameras in here, correct? Monitors in the police department, were there monitors down in Public Works, or?
There are actually cameras, local IT got the cameras that were there at the park working.
Okay.
So they're on our computers.
And Public Works will be able to see them too?
Public Works can see them.
Yeah. So I think it's what we've been talking about, we invest the money and we have to keep an eye on it. Especially in here where we only have, you know, one camera.
We're
And
working on that. There's going to be 32 cameras placed around the borough inside.
What about at like Green Acres?
The Green Acres, we have.
We have a couple on the building.
Yeah, we're only on the front.
There's 32 cameras on this building?
There's going to be 32 cameras in this.
So the hallways and things like that. But I think what he's saying is that we're now accessing those cameras down at Green Acres through
Yeah,
the
we
system.
only have 2 on the front of the,
And who has access?
What do you think, we should add another one?
There's cameras,
In the back.
wait, there's cameras down on the bathroom that
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
on both sides and this one.
There's 4 cameras.
There's 4 cameras.
There's 4 cameras?
Yes, there's 4 cameras.
Okay. And how many are at the Harry Williams building?
there's 6.
So if they're all put together, I think that'd be great for.
Everything is going to be intermingled.
Okay.
And who can see these?
Monitor.
And is it
Right.
real time that we're looking at this?
Harry and I are going to be looking at it. Is it going to be real time? They're going to be on our computer screens. They're going to be on our phones. Also, the police department is going to have a big screen and they'll be monitoring it. Well,
Yeah, because we
it'll
never
be-
really had real-time access.
They're going to be real time and the recordings will last for, I believe, 90 days.
Oh, that's a
So
nice
there's
real
a-
time, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, so that's pretty much standard. Yeah, so we're moving forward there. There's another thing I wanted to bring before council. You know, we're really trying to improve our technology and things like that. And Public Works is one of the areas that we're trying to improve. Harry and I were working together on proposing, we have, what, the GPS units on each?
Originally, several years ago, we put GPS units in all the vehicles, and it's been good and bad. It's helped us out sometimes, but it's a little costly, and it doesn't always get monitored the way, technology keeps changing.
It costs us over $8,000 a year.
Yeah, way too much.
So Harry and I were talking about it, and we have the upcoming time and attendance software coming in where you can use your mobile phone. So Public Works, it would be great if we have a work order system. I think the mayor has mentioned that several times.
We've all talked about it. Remember the idea of a call comes in, there's some kind of electronic form that's created.
Harry can
Who was
dispatch it.
attached, who did it?
Not even a paper form. Everything electronic can go right to the guy.
It'll still track the speed of the vehicles.
They won't track the speed of the vehicles, but it will keep track of the individual.
duration of the job and all those things.
Mostly,
It's a give and take,
Now, I'm going back to the dog.
Right.
yeah? It's a give and take,
Before your time, we had a dog that was
hit by a truck.
hit by a public works truck during a snowstorm. And the resident said the truck was going really fast. And you could see that the truck was going 15 miles an hour. Down the street, the little girl let the dog run out. No more dog.
that's a consideration.
I mean, I'm not sure, I think what he's saying is that the phones of this act will be it, so we'll know locations, but I don't know.
Of the
what
person,
speed.
of the person, which is more important than having the location of the vehicle. Because when you, if you know where the person is, you know what.
I mean, it's a give and take, I mean, the cost is kind of, in the monitoring, I think it's, I hear you. It's helped us a couple times. Remember we had somebody accused one of our trucks of hitting somebody, and then we were able to go back to the GPS, and they weren't even on the street. So I agree with you, there is some give and take.
Right.
But I think the idea, if the public works, and, I mean, they're looking at it more of where's everybody at, and
And efficiency for the residents to be more, just be more conscious of what's needed throughout the town. And Harry being able to distribute that work even to make it efficient. So we have a proposal from Verizon, which is going to, I think it will be approximately $2,000 more than the $8,000 that we're paying right now.
Really?
However, for that extra $2,000, we're also getting the work order system.
Oh,
So we're kind of getting the phones for the men to
Communicate.
check in and out.
It's like
And
200 a
the jobs
week.
they do to communicate, it's gonna be instant communication, and we're gonna have the work orders.
The work orders.
It'll cost us $2,000 more than what we're paying for just that GPS.
so we would be able to, if something, we'd be able to see if some call came in and it took 2 months to get to it, we would know it took 2 months.
Yeah, everything will be tracked, but hopefully it won't be. That's what we're trying to be more
Hopefully.
efficient and faster on our.
Mike, are you aware of this one? I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, you know about work orders, we
It's better
talk.
for it's better for the actual worker to work and not to,
Dilly-dally?
well, everybody's dilly-dallies. But this way, you're not, right off the bat, GPS makes you feel like you're accusing them of doing something. So it's tough. It's, when you deal with GPS, nobody really can sell GPS on you just want to locate where the truck is and protect them from speeding and all stuff like that. So once you use GPS, you throw GPS out there, they're just thinking you're tracking them. That's the way it is, but who wants to work under that, because it could be somebody that's never dilly-dallied in his life, and we got GPS on him, and, he's thinking he's getting monitored because we don't trust him.
But the time and attendance and the work orders kind of puts it all together.
That's doing your job, there's nothing there that's not saying you're not doing your job, it's just tracking it that way.
So you can clock in on your phone,
So
show up at the work site.
It's more, I think it's
Where
more,
your jobs are.
I don't want to say friendly, but I just think it's more, yeah, you're not accusing people. The whole stigmata with GPS is you're accusing me of doing something. Why you GPS in my truck?
And the GPS on the phone, that's not pretty much why we know we have that. We can do that if necessary, find out where an individual is. That's not the motivating factor. It does replace what we have now, but that's not the motivating factor. The motivating factor is being more efficient, getting work orders.
We try anything, right? We try everything. Give it a try.
Do they have their own phones?
Now, these will be our phones.
These will be our phones, but they will be on their person. Now, the only thing that Harry and I need to figure out, and I've talked to Joyce a little bit about it, what's going on. There might have to be some amendments to the ordinance that states who gets cell phones. So I have all that, Joyce has helped with that, and that's the missing link. We just have to figure out, do they leave the phone at work? Do they take the phone home with them?
Is there a certain amount of minutes they get? Or-
300 minutes.
And if they go over, do they get billed for it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
they
then
go
that's
over.
gonna be a problem. Somebody's gotta monitor that. And if it goes over, it should come out of their pay.
Well,
Well,
Or maybe leaving them at the office.
That might be it, because you can't go over, it's already an additional amount of money, so we don't want to go too high.
right, the Verizon representative that we had, we've given her data that the 300 hours is a reasonable
Really?
amount of time and won't even come close to being over.
And that's 300 hours a week,
No,
300 hours a month.
300 hours a
But
month.
most of the communication is going to be through, it's kind of like the old Nextel phones.
Go back to those days.
Kind of like that,
Sure.
it's no minutes, it's no
Okay,
minutes.
they're talking with each other.
The only call would be if Harry wants to call them for something.
Is this a contract? Are we signing a contract with them?
It would be a contract.
For how long?
We'd have to sign. I think it's 2 years.
That's not bad.
It's a normal cellular phone contract.
Does the direct connect count towards the minutes?
No.
That's nice. So direct connect, that's what you used to be called.
Yeah.
that's the 294.
Okay. All right, we'll keep going. Was there anything else on
So I
that?
just wanted to get your opinions on that.
I like it, it's better communication,
Well,
I like the idea that we're getting
Already-
work orders. I think that's important.
we're getting rid of the bill, and we're replacing it with something that does so much more. And it's not costing us that much, we monitor it, if it gets out of hand, we're done with it. You know,
now my company, we're going to a tablet. So, but what the advantage of the tablet is they can take a picture, it's not really for a cell phone.
Well, that's what we implemented in construction.
That's what I'm following that lead, and that's a little
Oh,
different.
you offered me?
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out, let me see.
but it ties in with my design program,
Yeah,
it ties in with my
that's good.
sales, it's all tied in. So,
Yeah, their whole system will be tied in. On Friday, next Friday, we have a meeting with the software company that developed the construction software. So we're all going to get together, Keith and Buck are going to get trained on that. And it's going to work out well.
yeah. So, yeah, that's great. I think I think it's a good start, we could try it. Did you need us for anything?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Have a good night,
All right, take care.
Good night, Billy.
Uh,
Come on in.
And 4 months later, it'll be out
All right, discussion of police chief's contract. So remember, we've talked about this, Paul already signed this. Let me just remind everybody what he signed, and what we're looking for is council authorized me to sign it also. So once again, upon retirement of 25 years of service, the chief of police shall be entitled to continuing health coverage, and then the borough's insurance company with a cost of 1.5% of his final salary, so it continues to pay 1.5%. Such coverage shall be continue for the chief and his spouse until he becomes eligible for Medicare or its successor, at which time the borough coverage and financial responsibility will terminate. If the chief reaches Medicare eligibility prior to his spouse, borough coverage will continue for his spouse until she reaches Medicare eligible based on her age. Should the chief predecease his spouse and she has not yet reached Medicare eligibility, the borough will continue borough coverage for his spouse. So it gives that survivorship. So what this does for us,
Until she's.
when she's Medicare, then we're done with her.
Does it say that?
Yeah, the coverage of the borough will terminate.
Yeah.
I skipped that, but I figured you assumed that.
I
Yes, so
assumed it, but no assumptions.
it's all there. So what I'm looking for is, I don't think we need to do it now. We could do it at the next meeting. Or we could do it now, if you want to, we could do it now.
I would like to make a motion that we.
You guys okay with this? Want me to read it again? Yeah, this was reviewed.
Glenn did look at that. I think we talked to Glenn, yeah.
Yeah,
I do have the signed contract. Paul.
It's very simple. Once again, our superior officers do not have a contract. So this is the closest thing that we have to a contract. At least it defines a little bit of your retirement. Yeah, yeah, because it's not defined very well.
Yeah.
And the other thing that this does is it sets the stage to getting rid of lifetime health benefits and putting people on Medicare. So-
Great city.
That's why I asked you for that.
We got two of this week.
Big deal.
So would someone like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign
I just
the
did.
retirement agreement? Okay.
And I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor? Is this money? This should be a roll. Let's do a roll call.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Mr. Lowenstein?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
And Mr. Rude?
Yes.
And I'll sign the other one. I think that's a very positive thing for the borough. I think we have an obligation to look at the future and what things are going to cost in the future. Even though it's real easy just to look at this year and maybe next year.
Without what he did, what would have happened?
Okay, Paul is my age, 49 years old, and he could retire tomorrow. He would be on our health insurance policy forever. So the experience that we have, you know about this, we pay the health insurance bill, Eleanor represents us.
$3,000 a year.
It costs us almost $300,000 a year for retiree health benefits. So at this point, it at least gives us an end date. So at 65, we're done. Now, the current employees that retire at 65, they go on Medicare, but then we pay for Medicare Advantage, which is like a supplemental. The only problem is it's the platinum supplemental. So it is costing us $17,000 a per, what, 12,000 person or
It's
13?
about 10 or 11.
I think it's something like that. So this will now, once Paul turns 65, we'll no longer have to pay that $12,000, which we are going to assume goes up every year. And then for Paul, the benefit for Paul, let's be clear, is he will no longer have to pay the 1.5% of his salary. And he gets survivorship, which wasn't clear. It was not a clear thing. Survivorship has been a problem. We've had a few officers pass recently, and I hate to say it, their spouses were not entitled to survivorship. So I think it's been a little bit of a wake-up call. And let's also, the school districts, there is no survivorship in the school districts. So it's not like we're creating something that's new. Runnemede is starting to follow precedent and what larger status quo. So, the schools are huge compared to us, and they've not given survivorship ever.
Correct.
Yeah. So we're a little bit late to the game, and you would argue that it's a great benefit.
If we did, if school, not we, because I'm a family now, but if schools did, the taxes would be.
Yeah. So regardless, it seems terrible, but once the spouse is gone, once again, we don't owe it to the employee's wife, we owe it to the employee. At least that's the agreement that was made. So once again, we're allowed to sit down in a meeting, and we had an agreement, and the council and the individual agreed, and that's where we're at. He's getting something, we're getting something. But what I think it does, and Mr. Sampolsky left, it allows us, in my opinion, to look at everybody in the borough and say, look, eventually we've got to think about future costs. What's costing us $300,000 this year, what's going to cost us next year?
Whoa.
330, 360, 400.
Yeah.
So,
Dan, do I have to do a formal resolution for what they just did? Or is there a motion and not?
should I have a
authorizing
resolution on
the
it?
signature of the contract?
Oh, yeah, you need a resolution.
So resolution 18109.
Okay.
So resolution 18109 has passed.
That's it.
Great.
Oh, yeah, just, okay, yeah.
We already did motion,
All
second,
right,
roll call.
making sure. Another ask twice.
Thank you. Sign. Okay, discussion of police, fire, and OEM IT services. Jim, that's back to you.
He talked
He
about
did
it.
Oh, you did do that, I apologize. Discussion of Cali Court. Who wants to discuss Cali Court? Want me to discuss Cali Court? You? Who's going to discuss
You
it?
can, I was going to let Harry.
Okay, well, Harry, just to let everybody know, we've been discussing with the 9 residents of Cali Court. We've had our sewer department look at this. They hired a company to go down there. I don't think the company charges anything to evaluate the pump that's down there. And I'm recommending, and I hope our legal counsel and our engineer and all of you, that we take that pump station out. It is an extremely small pump station now. I would argue that the planning board set the parameters of that pump station based on the engineer's recommendation. Our borough engineer inspected it. So hopefully this pump station was built to the satisfaction to use for a long period of time. The company that went down there, and Mike, I don't know if you read the report, said it wasn't built like a government type of pump station, but it's 9 units. Our average pump station in this town does 2,000, individuals. You know what I mean? Instead of 9 houses. So I don't think it needs to be at the level of the pump station down at Orchard Avenue, which is 25, 30 feet into the ground and things like that. So the only thing that we have to protect the borough is we're coming up with a financial contribution that the HOA, the homeowners association, would pay the borough to take over this.
Is there
this
a
thing.
homeowners association?
There is not. There is and there is not.
What's the vehicle? What's the vehicle that's?
Well, it gets a little complicated, but what we believe, this is where the lawyers come in, there is an HOA that was established,
Yeah,
but it's in their deeds, it's there.
right.
It exists as a formalized entity. The problem is, I think the best word to use to describe it, I would say, is dormant.
Right.
So what I think we have an opportunity here to kind of help them out and simply say, eliminate this homeowners association. Somehow, now that might cost them some
Well, I don't
legal.
know if you can do that.
I mean, what do you
Can you
do?
eliminate
All the members
all
can
homeowners
eliminate it.
If they agree to do it.
All nine.
We can't, let's put it this way,
You're not
we
gonna do
can't,
it.
as a council,
No.
say, hey, look, your homeowners association is hereby eliminated. However, it can dissolve itself depending on the bylaws of the homeowner.
So we're looking at them to dissolve it, pay us a fee
Voluntarily.
voluntarily, pay us a fee to take over the
What are you
management.
looking at here? How much
$1,500.
each year?
No, it's a one-time thing.
A one-time fee. They will contribute.
Well, think about it, we're treating it, I know this sounds a little different, we're treating it different than all the other residents of the town. Everybody else has to pay their $164. They get sewer service, they get all this stuff, they have to pay CCUA. But this 9 homes in our town, for some reason, are treated differently because the planning board at the time decided to create this pump station. Where in other towns, I know this for a fact, they make the developer build something and then it gets dedicated to the municipality. So what I would like us to see is that the pump station gets dedicated to us, the little piece of land gets dedicated to us, and then the road gets dedicated to us.
Well, you wouldn't even really need to dissolve the homeowners association, or to dissolve itself. It's just a matter of, hey, you gotta get us this
Yeah,
fund.
we don't care if that homeowner station is defunct, you're right. We just want to take ownership of it. Now you say, why? I'm going to tell you why. Because they're not doing a good job maintaining it. They're not doing a good job, they have no idea what they're doing.
Well, don't they have somebody that goes there and inspects it, takes?
No.
No, that's the
And
entire point.
that's the point. And what happened was the alarm went off. And we didn't respond to it, it's not ours. The homeowners, once again, are not this dormant organization, you know about it. The alarm was going off, and we were nice enough to go down there and look at it.
And you don't wanna create a situation where it's saying, hey, we don't have a, active homeowners association. It was something that was established by your planning board, so that would just create a gray area. And while I love gray areas, don't get me wrong, that's where I make my living, I don't want one for the borough.
It's going to be the cleanest thing for us to do, really is. You know, you say,
So what, so they're gonna give us a one-time fee, and then what? Then they pay the
then they're
normal
like,
sewer?
everyone else in
They
the
don't pay
borough,
their taxes and we'll.
they pay their taxes.
And they'll pay the normal sewer like everybody
Yeah.
else pays.
Our legal team's going to write something up.
$164 a year,
Yeah,
right?
they'll become like everybody else.
And everyone, all those 9 homes, everyone in those homes are in agreement, or I mean,
Yeah.
did you knock on their door?
I've literally knocked on their doors.
I'm sure you have.
And I get text
And
messages.
what do they say? Oh, shoot.
They understand that this is hanging over them, this dagger is hanging over them.
There's no dissension.
But is it like, I don't want anything
If
to do
the
with...
sewer system, that thing starts, if it starts backing up, they don't want to
But I
deal
don't,
with
does
it.
any, do they
Plus, it's only
understand
gonna
that?
be done
Now, remember,
forever.
If they did, then they would have the active homeowners association take care of everything. So there hasn't been any pushback from what I.
And the reason we're even doing this
The
is,
alarm was, there's pushback on that.
yeah, we found out that Somerdale had a very similar situation, where Somerdale had a defunct homeowners association. They calculated it, it was someone
The phones do it.
defunct. They actually sent bills out to, they got $50,000 because they came up with a number and said, we need $50,000 to take it over. But it was much larger property. It was, 40 or 50 houses or something like that. So much bigger pump station, and they took it over. Now Barrington didn't do it. Barrington pushed back, or the other development, which is down the street from us. Barrington pushed back. The difference was they were more complete than Runnemede was not complete. Our homes were not all built when the developer passed away. You do understand the circumstances here. The developer passed away. And that's what caused, would you, Mark, help me out? Would you say that was a big part of a lot of our problems?
Didn't perfect.
So I think we need to come up with this final number. Council can type something up, send it to the 9 homeowners, well, really to the homeowners association of the 9 homeowners, and then let them sign it, send us our check, and we're done.
Can I ask where the basin falls into this?
I think the basin's gonna go to us too. Be part of our open space.
The challenge, I think, is going to be getting the residents to get together this summer.
I do not believe so. I think I can get it done in 15 minutes.
Because I hope you do.
I'll bring Dan with me. We'll walk door to door.
I kind of agree.
It hasn't been maintained in 9 years.
I
and That's
understand.
why one of the pumps failed. What I
Just
understand. And it's because it hasn't been maintained for 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
you need to maintain these pump stations. And they should have somebody on call that.
The state requires it.
Didn't we have, didn't they have someone?
They did. They did have someone before, and the state requires it. And once again, we could call the state on that. We could say to the state that they're not maintaining this pump station. And they go, sir.
So Tally Court, we're getting closer. Discussion of debt service converting short-term note to a long-term bond. Can you just briefly explain that to everyone?
Okay.
Okay, had an opportunity to talk to our
Box of
financial
Joe would have been
advisors.
perfect. I know. Jeez, where's that coffee?
You always have to reappoint the issue, right?
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right, so last week we had an opportunity to sit down with our financial advisors to help guide us through our short-term and long-term debt that we get. And in 2018, we're making the last payment on our 2008 bond, long-term debt. So in 2018, we are making our last payment on our principal payment for a 2008 bond. So that will be extinguished. We'll be left with one long-term bond. So that's good news. We also have two short-term notes, one from 2017, which incurs 3 debt authorizations. I think the amount is $3.7 million. And we have the note of 1.7 from this year. So we have 2 notes, and we'll have 1 bond. The bond that we're paying falls off our debt service by approximately $200,000. So it gives us an opportunity to take advantage of interest rates that may be changing and rising very soon based on trends, and lock into a long-term bond in order to take advantage of the interest rate and convert some of that short-term debt where the interest rates fluctuate year to year. They're 1-year maturity notes, so they have to be redone every year. The trends state that interest for short-term notes is going up, almost to the point where it's going to be equal to long-term.
Can I stop here? What's our interest on our 1.7 right now?
The 1.7 is approximately 2.8,
2.8. And what is the bond? What was the interest rate of the bond?
about 3.2.
Okay. The reason I asked that
That's
question,
all.
You're paying on principal.
if you recall, we used to just pay to pay the interest in the past because the interest rate was 0.7, remember, 0.9 was so minimal. and we kept doing it. So now we're different, so it makes sense to lock it in, because I agree.
There's also talk about that short-term interest is going to exceed long-term interest. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I think the Fed met last week or this week to discuss the interest rates.
Is there a cost to turn the short term into a long term?
There is a cost, but I've already put that aside in the last note. We're covered with all our costs in the capital. So the proposal that they gave us was to convert all our notes into long-term debt. But there was an increase of approximately $200,000 in debt service. Now, I know ours went down, but I'd like to take advantage of that going down. So they're going to run the numbers of just converting the oldest note that we have from 2017, which has debt authorizations dating back to 2015. With the short-term note, after 3 years, you have to start paying principal anyway. So we don't want to get into that where we're paying principal and interest on a short-term note. So I said, rerun the numbers. We're going to keep the note that we got this year, and we're going to keep that as a note, and we'll see how that goes.
So we have 200,000 falling off. What do you think this new payment's going to have?
So the reason went up so high because the items in that note that we bonded for, their useful life was a weighted average of about 9 years. So the lower the useful life is, the more your principal payment is going to be. If we drop off the new note that we just got, our useful life will go up to 13 years. which would make our principal payment go down just because of the length of time of the note. We'll have more time to pay it off, and it will reduce because the principal that we're financing is going to be as much. So I'm hoping to go down enough to $200,000 and incurring half of that in new expense of $100,000. This way, next year, it could open us to do some other.
So you're not gonna grab that 1.7, you are gonna grab that
We
1.7?
have the 1.7.
Are you,
One point seven is not gonna be in the.
it's not gonna be,
It's not
oh,
gonna-
because originally I thought you said.
It's not going to be.
Because it would've been too.
We're gonna maintain that.
Because we're good at that interest rate, that 2.8, you know,
But all
if it's
three
gonna
of these
go,
meetings, notes will be.
yeah, we feel comfortable, but I don't want to just drop something and then go right back into.
When's the next,
So we're benefiting on the debt service, we're only gonna fill it back halfway.
Correct,
when does the next bond fall off?
2031, 2031.
No, no, no. Our next, there's like the next one coming up, when's the next one?
When it's over,
No, there's another one coming up.
I don't understand the question.
You said one's coming off this year. When is the next
The old
coming off?
2031.
Not the one we're creating.
No, the one that we have now.
We have no other debt out there?
No,
There's no other debt?
other than, right now we have 2 bonds.
That's all we have?
That's all. We're paying one off this year. We'll
And
have
what's the
one
total of
left.
the other one? Where's yours? Oh, I thought we had several notes.
We have several notes, but notes and bonds are different. The bonds are a long-term debt.
I understand that.
Right?
But there's nothing else coming off, you're saying there's no, because I remember seeing notes come off every so many years, we would have something, we paid something off. You're saying we don't pay anything off until 31?
No, we're paying off a bond this year,
Yeah.
When's the next one? When's the next one?
2030.
That's a bond, so the other
That's
ones
a
are not
bond.
bonds, I guess.
That's okay, we'll deal with it later, I'll look at it later. I just remember seeing our debt structure is about $3.5 million, right? And there's all different bonds that we've done over all the years, and all the notes that we've done all the years. And I know that every year we pay, like I said, some of these notes we're paying principal, and some of them start to fall off. You're telling me that we didn't have a gap between this one falling off, and we don't have another one falling off for 20 years?
2031, I believe.
So we grouped everything together into this one big bond?
Just about.
Wow.
Okay. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing, that having all these short-term notes that
That
we don't
interest
know.
rates and
Right,
we're
exactly,
paying a bit.
exactly.
Well, we used to pay short term. Do you remember the one year where we paid, like, we had a bump, and we paid extra money?
But we were
And
only
then
paying like one.
We're paying nothing.
Yeah, we weren't paying anything.
I'll speak for Lynn.
I'm-
Your confusion sounds like a committee.
I will look at it.
Yeah, we'll look at.
Okay.
I'll
We'll
wait.
look into that, and I was a little confused too. But I know what you're saying, we've been dropping our whole debt, our
It's tough.
whole mutual bonds of 7 years came to an end. in
Yeah,
2000.
every 7 years, every 7
I
years.
think this may be the last one for a
Okay.
while. I'll have to double check.
It's 13 years. So the only question I have for you, Jim, then,
Yes.
is debt service will maintain for the next 13 years?
As long as we don't incur more debt. Actually, it will
Okay,
go.
how do we, I'd like to
Actually-
incur more, I think we want to incur more debt every year, about $1 million.
Well, actually, the debt service goes down with each year. The principal that you pay goes down. Also, the interest based on the principal that you owe goes down.
Okay.
So, you know,
So we can
getting
borrow
over-
money next year,
Yes.
following year, and the next year.
Yes.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I don't want to be so aggressive in bonding for all the notes. I want to leave some.
Some is a
Right.
band.
And it's not just so we can borrow more money, it's also just it's also a good move. It's just smarter not to, that note that we have now is good, there's no need to put it into long.
As long as we can borrow next year and next year.
Yeah, we're good. I think our
Debt to assets ratio.
debt ratio is 1.7.
Yeah, I understand that part, but what I'm nervous about is if our debt service is a fixed number, we've always kind of paid, we've always kind of borrowed what we paid off every year.
Yeah.
And stuff always fell off. And that's what kind of made me feel like, okay, we're borrowing, but something's gonna fall off. We borrow it, something's gonna fall off.
Well-
When I hear 13 years,
When's it gonna?
I start to say, okay, nothing fall,
When's it gonna fall?
Even though it's not falling off, you're
you're saying the payment goes down every year.
Sure.
So if the payment goes down every year, then I feel pretty good. So we can borrow. Okay? Anything else on that? Okay. All right, so this goes to the engineer, I guess. Discussion of last change orders, which will complete the $25,000 blanket change order for the Borough Hall ADA improvements. Is that anything?
Well, just to explain what's going on. Back in April, we have been presented with a change order for the elevator and hallway project. We had talked the contractor down from a $40,000 change order down to $20,000. But while we were discussing it in the committee, we recommended that we get a $25,000 limit in case something, we were in the middle of construction back in April. We said, in case anything else happens during construction, we want a little bit of room to maneuver. So the last thing we were working on was the elevator, and a code requirement was that they put this little jewel button on, that when the borough goes into generator mode, a little light lights up and says generator use on the first floor, and that lets firefighters know that the elevator is being run by generator power. We weren't aware of it when we put the plans out to bid. It's something that came up during construction, and the cost to install that jewel was a little over $4,000, which kept us under the $25,000 budget. But I just want to let everybody know why there was a change order that got signed by, I guess the mayor signed it, but it was under the $25,000 total threshold. And it was basically the cost for an electrician to run a low voltage wire from the elevator through the ceiling system all the way to the generator on the other side of the police wing. So it was time to pay an electrician prevailing wages to run wires through the building. And that brought, we're still under the $25,000, but that was.
Do we have to do anything tonight?
I don't think, because we had a change order back in.
Okay, so we're all done, the change orders, we're all
Yeah,
done,
that's the
everything?
final,
Okay.
I mean, that's the description of the change order. I can talk a little bit about the rest of the project.
Okay.
That's my turn.
Discussion of painting Borough Hall. I saw, did you send that out to everyone, the bids? It looks like our QPA came in handy. We had, Mr. Wazon got 3 quotes to paint the whole building, power wash everything, caulk everything, and then paint everything with the correct paint.
All exterior.
The whole exterior, except for the paved part that's new, correct?
Correct.
And the lowest bid came in at $28,000. The middle bid came in at $39,000, and the high bid came in, what, 68?
65,000.
65. It's all over the place. And I think Bob said, as long as, of course, financing is all right, we would reward the 28 to get it painted. Because this is part of that little bit of money that's left over to do the security cameras, to do the painting. I think we all agreed that these were things that were part of the
Yeah.
improvement.
Liability.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Do we have to do anything to award this 28? Okay.
We could do a resolution to award it.
Does everybody have any questions with that? Did anybody want to say
It
anything?
has to be
Who
done.
is,
Who's the company doing
yeah,
it?
who's the
Shoal
contract?
Painting, they're from Philadelphia. They have very reputable references and so forth. Bob actually- Shoal,
Shoal.
SCHNOLL. Bob actually checked some references.
I thought it was school painting. I thought it was
Shoal, yeah. With that, it was 7 vendors were contacted, 6 contacted me back, and I was expecting 6 quotes, proposals, and I only received 3 in writing. So with that, I mean, if Bob's comfortable with it, they're meeting all the requirements and so forth, and
We thought it was going to cost like $40,000.
yes.
So it came in $12,000 less than what we thought.
Bob's checking out their contract for registration
With Greg, all that was submitted with it, our business registration, all that stuff meets it. And
So the whole building will be all
we also
white
have
color.
insurance that
No brainer.
held harmless, borough's held harmless on it.
Oh, were you talking about this summer?
I told them, but I want you to stop it.
Bob, what color is it gonna be?
It's going to match the building, the front, the structure.
Everything is gonna,
color now.
everything is gonna be the same.
Trying to close that.
You gotta do it.
On the front, the
I have it in my black.
Yeah, yeah.
We have to raise money for that. So-
28,000 is very
Yeah,
reasonable.
it's $28,890.
I mean, the color's going to match the building color that we have now.
Yes.
do we want to do a resolution tonight? We can do resolution 18,
Yeah, why don't we?
110, or any other discussion on this before we
I
decide the
think we should
contract?
do it as
Yeah,
sooner
okay.
than later, because
And
it's
the
gonna get, the weather's gonna get bad, and let's get it done before
Okay.
the weather gets, I mean, it's bad now, but I mean, it'll get worse.
Okay, resolution 18-109
Yeah.
is a resolution
It's
on
110, it's 110.
110, authorizing or awarding Shoal Painting to paint,
SCH.
to execute the contract to power wash, caulk, and paint the Borough Hall for $28,000 even.
$890.
$890. You got that, Joyce? Is there a motion?
I have the email somewhere.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that
Motion
motion.
by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Pascal. Any other discussion? Do we have the money?
We do have enough.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Passier?
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Mr. Lobenstein?
Oh, sorry, sidebar again, sorry. Yes.
Twice tonight.
Mr. Farrell?
Well, I'm trying to be very
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
And Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
All right, so we'll continue discussion of tiling project and bathrooms and kitchen at Borough Hall. Does everyone know that we are getting new tiles in those
It wasn't for you,
rooms?
it was for me.
No, I didn't know.
Kitchen looks nice.
No, I
Did you
don't.
know that?
No, I didn't.
Please pick it out.
Oh, it's nice, yeah, I like it.
I wish I could.
You know what it needs now,
No, really, it's.
Oh, geez.
This
window.
is
though?
off here.
And you need to go to those two gentlemen over there.
Yeah. The cabinets in
I
there,
don't
that
know nothing.
funky
I'm
beige
always
color,
out of
then
everything.
cabinets need to be spray painted.
To the point
Yeah.
where.
Put that on the
What-
table.
Is it
Well, there's all
good?
these sidebars, and,
Well, I mean, engineering
You know, the
really
nice
gets part of
ones,
all that. Now, it's
right?
not necessarily the stuff,
Oh,
but
nice.
buildings and
Well,
grounds
then-
usually went through a little bit of engineering.
Nice
Even though
thing.
you'd say that some of it goes through
But
public works.
I'll be
It
satisfied.
really
It's only
comes from the
20 years old,
bond,
that's
right?
all.
This money's all bond money that we're spending. We're spending money on the painting, we're spending money, so, you know, I just think, I think what Bob says is he would like to be part of.
Bob, I apologize.
this has been happening all the time, Jeff.
Okay.
No matter what department, it happens all the time. You don't follow protocol at all.
And then you need to let your committee know it's going.
How can I let the
So
committee know?
so
I never
then-
know nothing.
So then we know,
It's-
and
it's-
we know before we come
It's-
to
This
this.
has been 5, 6 years of this.
Well, I think that Mr. Petricka was hired, well, that was a long time coming, I think.
Well,
I didn't know he started until today, I saw him in the building.
let's go back to the painting.
Okay.
I was gung-ho on the painting. I'm just finding out now.
We spoke about this in Caucus last time, I'm sorry, Mr. Farrell. but-
Well, I think we did say
Yeah,
that.
but we didn't have no, we were getting bids.
Why don't you send the bids out to everyone in town council?
I know.
Did you see him, Mike?
I did.
Yeah. I think we have to work that a little bit. Engineering,
No,
building.
there's no excuse.
No, there really is no
I
excuse.
agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Well, keep going. I think we need to communicate better, and that's why I like to have these long meetings. Okay, Harry, I'm not going to take your thunder, but I want to say, you sent out something about discussion about hiring a janitor.
Yes.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Following received an applicant, gentleman for what we've been working on, was trying to get a janitor. We had Facebook advertisements, so forth like that for it. With that, I do have a candidate. If council is okay with it, I mean, I did send it to, we talked with Joyce and Paul. Paul came back, he would like, because the person will be working in Borough Hall, to do a background check on it. But I don't think we can proceed unless we're given offer to employment first.
Well, how about we do this?
What is this,
we
what's
also-
the job
Well,
description?
let's do this first. Let's have the committee meet. How about the Public Works Committee meets with the gentleman? I think he can get a background check prior to hiring. We do that all the time in the police department. So prior to our commitment to doing it, I think we should do a background check, right? Because why do a background, why we hire him and they do a background check, he's no good.
Absolutely.
We also have a contract for the current janitorial service. I reached out to them. They're supposed to email me the contract.
I
And
have
there's
never
con-
seen a contract.
There is a contract from, the woman said that there's a contract.
Joyce, is there a contract?
So I'm having an email to me. I might even have it. So I'm sure there's.
I don't think council's ever ever authorized a contract for janitorial services.
No, it was a long time ago.
I'm sure
Does it
there's.
renew without end?
It must just renew
It
automatically.
might go to a year to year, but I'm sure there's
There's a 20-year
terms
contract.
for-
Was it a 20-year contract?
Contract can't automatically renew forever, can it?
Oh, that's great, they can, I mean, some, I didn't know anything about it.
Can it have a
So
clause
can you make
that says
arrangements
it
for
goes
the
month to
public,
month after that? I don't know.
Works Committee to at least meet this gentleman? Because I think what he's talking about, and there was an email sent out today, correct? Today, there was an email sent out. Basically, it had the gentleman's application, and I liked who his reference was. I did read it. I thought that was ironic. And I didn't know where he was, I didn't remember where he was from. Was he from Belmar?
No, this gentleman's from Carney.
Oh, Carney's Point. He worked in another public works department. So the idea was,
So what is this?
I think what Harry was just discussing was, the idea is that we've always said we need somebody to clean better and
Yeah.
be more involved with recreation, all our buildings, all our grounds. And I think that's where I think the job description needs to be I think we need to outline a job description.
The overall, the job description is it's a permanent part-time employee, 30 hours a week. He'll work 5 days, 6 hours a day. With that, his job task will be Borough Hall Complex, Police Department, Harry Williams Building, Senior Center, Green Acres Bathroom, and public trash cans.
What was that?
The public trash cans.
Along the Blackhorse Pike and in the parks.
The parks and
The
all-
public trash cans, all those.
What would he do with them?
He had to empty them.
They gotta be maintained.
Well, because they fill up
I
over.
thought you guys did that, no?
Well, he is.
Yes, it frees up my guys to do other tasks. That's what the whole process.
And they get filled up because of sports activities,
Oh, yeah.
because of activities at the Harry Williams Building and things like
He's
that.
gonna
So,
be,
Harry,
he's
it's
gonna
got
fall under
all
public
public
works.
buildings, right? Pretty
Yeah.
much. That's, instead of picking the buildings, all public.
But we're classifying as the janitor.
Yeah.
So
Buildings,
it's gonna be
grounds.
5 days a week, I mean, when.
5
said
days a week, 6
6
hours a
hours a
day.
day.
6 hours a day, okay, so, and if there's an emergency where we need something cleaned up, done, or whatever.
We still follow the protocol of the steps that we have now, and you don't call that person comes out.
Okay, because I mean, he's in Carney's Point, that's not closed.
Yeah, but then this person's limited on how many hours he can work.
Now,
Well,
in your,
what
in
if,
your,
like, if the women's club goes into the kitchen at night to prepare for the next day, at 7 o'clock at night, and the kitchen is not decent, you know what I mean? Like, there's mold in the refrigerator, and there's terribleness all over. Who do we call?
well, that should be reviewed before the rental, before the use. Do you
Well,
agree?
Really,
Well, he's gonna be this man's
is this
responsibility.
man gonna do a job for us, or is he just gonna walk around?
This man's getting hired to do a job.
If he doesn't do it, he's not gonna be working for it.
I'll tell you, the women's club will complain if we find a
You'll
free
know.
kitchen. You will know.
But I think what Patty's question was, emergencies are still going through Public Works. Now, what about events? Would this be the guy who shows up at the events and sets up the chairs, or that's still Public Works?
If it's during the daytime, he'll set up the events and so forth, but it's still public works at night.
So he's just a Public Works employee with a title of janitor.
So when there's public events going on at night, of course it'll be, I mean,
Some other gentleman.
it'll
What does the
be.
janitor do now? You said that there's a contract. What
We
do they do now?
we have 2 gentlemen that come in once a
They
week.
clean this building.
They just
And they-
clean this
they
building.
clean this
Oh,
building.
they don't
Only.
do, oh.
And it's only once a week,
And once a
Mrs.
week.
Scott, you can tell the women's club they don't have to pay rent that month if the kitchen's dirty. All right?
Good one.
They would like.
I mean, something we've talked about, and I think what he's trying to do is, by having a part-time employee, it gives us a lot more flexibility. He's not necessarily an at-will employee, is he? He is at will.
But he's not going,
He's
he's
at
not
will.
gonna open up the.
Will he be in the park, in your budget? Will he be in your budget?
2
Yes,
seconds.
it's already budgeted for this.
Janitor.
Okay,
Janet.
so.
So what happens to these people? They're done, right?
Well, we're looking at their contract, what they claim is.
It's a 20-year contract. We might have to void their contract.
It's a good move.
Oh, yeah, I don't have any,
I'm
I
gonna
just
have
don't
to
want
write a
him.
letter, I'm gonna have to write a letter terminating, it might be 30 days notice. So I'll write a letter and then we'll be done in 30 days if everything works out.
We have an auction coming up on December the 7th. And our ladies go in there at night and to get ready for the next day.
So
And we
it's gonna
have
be perfect.
filthy things to do. And they shouldn't have to do that.
Not anymore.
I think that's the goal.
I'm gonna be complaining loud.
Well, you could go look at it. What would be
I
really,
know, I
what would be
have to
really
deal with it.
nice, I'll tell you what would be really nice, is the day before the women's club event, that we know the gentleman goes over there and cleans it. What would be really nice,
And puts toilet paper in the
if someone would
bathroom,
go look at it
cleans the
after he's done,
toilets.
before he leaves.
somebody looks at it. I run a business, I look at what my guys do before they leave. You understand? They take pictures, I look at stuff, because my customers won't pay me if I don't make
Well,
it
when we
done.
have people that that are there. like
It's
on
called
the-
supervision, it's called management.
Okay, so in the schools, and they leave the bathrooms a mess, and then the person who we have closes the place up, is that her responsibility to see, hey, the bathrooms are clean or they're not? Or will he come in the morning and say, whoa, these bathrooms are a mess, but he has to clean them? of
Well,
course.
I would argue that the person closing up should report that it's left messy.
Yeah.
I would say that is the obligation of that person who
I
made the
would,
closing.
I would think that.
I think the janitor's obligation maybe is to also report it, or he should be made aware of it being dirty, and then he goes down there and takes care of it.
Right.
I think it's a management has to
I think he
control
needs to
the person.
know that, you know, he.
That's why we're doing it, because right now, there's no service
To
in
keep an
there.
eye on there, when if he goes in the morning and another school was in there and it's a mess in there, to report,
What
to make sure.
does the school have to do with the
I
problem?
think what she's talking about is
Let's
Harry Wade's
talk about Harry
building
Wade.
gets
When
gets
this-
left dirty.
The schools, just.
Oh, yeah, they make
I'm not
a
gonna
mess.
say names, but they're.
And our open and
playing
closer
there.
should be looking at it. Now, I have not gotten any complaints, but I understand that things are left dirty. But I think this is our opportunity maybe to take care of this. And it was budgeted,
And
correct,
they'll
Jim?
empty the trash cans so that when we go there, we're not gonna have overflowing pizza
No,
boxes.
that was the part where we said public trash cans, that's where he's gonna go around, he's gonna empty trash cans.
Please, please.
So hear that, please, be there. Okay, discussion hiring janitor. So will you guys meet with them, and we'll put them on the agenda as long as the committee agrees, and there's a job description.
Well, should we get the okay from the women's club?
I think we should have that on the interview.
Keep it going.
All right.
So he's gonna get a background check, how about the drug testing, is that all gonna be done?
That should all be done
Ahead of
before he's hired.
Absolutely. I agree.
All right, let's go through the resolutions quickly, and then we can move on.
Can't do the drug test before.
Why not?
You gotta-
Absolutely do the drug
Yeah,
test.
but what are the rules
Absolutely.
regarding what we can and can't do regarding an application and background
Can do
check
that.
and drug
You
check?
can do a background check.
I'm gonna hire somebody to let me know,
Yes.
Okay.
I would,
right?
work that.
Yes. All right, so resolution 18107, we're going to skip going around quickly, and we're going to do these couple things. Resolution 18107 is a resolution authorizing an interlocal service agreement between the Borough of Runnemede and the County of Camden for Project Save referral services. What was this again?
This is your, you call it court.
rehabbing.
Well, the court. Phew. Magnolia and we are doing this because we share a court administrator, and the county is doing this. It doesn't cost us anything, but we have to pass
There's
this
copies on the
resolution.
table, the agreement, if anybody wants.
It's all about, once again, it's about drug and alcohol, helping people and things like that. So it's a very positive thing. Is there a motion?
It's
I'll
non-violent.
make a motion.
As long as it's nonviolent,
Okay.
right?
Motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Mr. Lobenstein. Any other discussion? This is a roll call.
Mrs.
Roll
Passione?
call.
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
And Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
6 ayes.
6 ayes, the resolution is adopted. Resolution 18108 is a resolution appointing an attorney and authorizing the proper officials to execute a professional service contract for the Borough of Runnemede. Our attorney has a conflict. Bob, this will make you very happy what we're doing. We are actually, this is, we're finally moving forward. If the council will allow tonight, because there's a conflict between our attorneys, I would like us to hire Michael Albano for this issue only, to deal with the land behind the acre. So Michael's,
My favorite piece.
I think we have a budget for conflict, our conflict.
I hope so, because otherwise, it's, what did I say it was? CFO salary wage? That comes out.
I thought it was coming out the 4th of July. parade.
4th of July.
Oh, shut up. I will not.
So what this gentleman, what this lawyer will do for us,
It's already
it
resolved.
was never resolved.
Oh,
So what I want to, let's get it done. So let's get it done tonight.
please.
So what we're doing is we're going to have, come on now. We never passed the resolution. Council has to do the action. So what he will do for us is he will make the agreement with the school board, which will transfer the ownership of this land to the school board with, excuse me?
Black Horse Pike, yeah.
To the Black Horse Pike Regional School District. And then what it'll do is, in the agreement, it will also set the standards for that transfer. So the two standards, which I want to do, I'll segue right into, is I'm gonna hand out a map. It'll
What are the
grant,
stipulations, like what they can use that for or can't, because
it's
it's
used for recreation.
behind you, I mean,
It's used for recreation.
recreation meaning,
The school is a recreation for their fields, for their activities and things like that. What's the phase? What's the phase?
well, it could be anything, along comes a baseball or a soccer ball and your.
Okay, so I'll finish. So what the idea is that the residents know about this, it's been talked about for several years. So the idea is, in lieu of this transfer of this recreation property from the Borough, which remember, it used to be a basketball court, it used to be a playground,
Yeah.
it used to be a flag football field, it used to be a soccer field. What we're doing is, this transfer allows us to no longer have to cut the grass down there, maintain or anything like that. We transfer it to the school district, they'll use it for very similar activities that they use the rest of the fields for.
Are they gonna extend the fence out from,
Part of the agreement is that they will grant an easement to all the property owners adjacent to this piece of this parcel. So there will be an easement, so that there'll be a buffer zone between this parcel and the property owners. The easement the area will be fenced in all the way around the property. That's basically the three agreements are: recreation, easement to the property owners, and the fence.
well, how do the property owners feel about this?
They all want it. They all want it. They all want it.
Property owners does it affect?
4,
I have a question.
5.
Who decides on where the buffer zone is?
Well, we drew it. So what we have is we've got a 15-foot buffer all the way around the property. But then at this point here, the idea was not to lose the tree line. There's a tree line out there. So from that point to the fence, there's an existing fence that the school district has.
Yeah.
So what the point would do is from this point, and I'm going to pass this around to everybody, what this does is this continues this fence line and protects all these trees. If you want to look at
Okay,
it,
when you say a 15-foot buffer, so,
is that any clearer?
no,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, please. What is the question?
okay, so I live here, so can I?
You don't live here. You live here, 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 and here. So now you gain 15 foot of land behind your property.
And I can use that?
Do it whatever you want.
I can.
You don't even pay taxes on it.
I can, okay, I just wanted to
You don't
know
do
if I
anything.
can use that 15 foot.
It's your
right
property, for whatever you want to do with it. The idea
Those
is,
5
Don't be funny.
landowners,
I'm sorry,
the 5 landowners understand that.
yes.
And they've accepted that, and they know
Yes.
it's
Pretty
that-
I don't know.
And it'll be
I
didn't
protected.
understand.
See, right now, there's all kinds of bad stuff
Did it?
going on back there.
Yeah, and the buffer from the person's home.
And what
right?
about, there's a building, one of our buildings is back there.
It's not our building. It was built by the homeowner
I
there.
really like that building, I can.
It's
live
not, we're not allowed to use it. We've been evicted from it. It doesn't meet any of the criteria, it doesn't have water,
What's
electric.
gonna happen to it?
They're gonna more than likely dispose of that building.
to the school.
Oh, it'll go.
And that could be part of the agreement. We can add that to the agreement.
Yeah.
I think we could add that to the agreement.
We'll give away your terms and conditions just.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that?
But I think we were doing it anyway because they didn't want to make the field bigger.
Conditions
Well,
just
look
yet.
at that, where your house is.
You know, let's go around the board. Does everybody understand?
I understand.
The buffer because they're the people, really, we could put a park out there, but we can't put a park. There's no parking, there's no access, there's no nothing. We're cutting grass, kids are cutting through there. So what this does is, it eliminates all
Do you
that.
remember when we were there and we caught kids trying
Yeah.
to leave school
Yes.
through
Now,
that?
Mr. Russo, did you
Okay.
ever send Mr. Farrow or Mr. Root or anybody what you're doing with the entrance?
I have not.
Why? Would have made my life a little easier.
Which I don't,
Now you get to say that one too. Please, say.
With that, the entrance will be soft cut across the sidewalk. The asphalt will remain for the driveway apron and the sidewalk at the time being. The asphalt will be removed with the fence. With that, topsoil will be put down, and then, it's turned over to you folks.
And you have
The-
grass on everything.
With that, will be, next year we'll budget for the sidewalk to be replaced with concrete,
Yes.
with the budgeting for next
So
year.
the borough will pick this up. And Bob, I apologize again. I understand that you called Harry. Harry called me, and I knew that this was moving forward, and I said back to him, let's get it done, and then that never got back to you, so I do apologize that that didn't go back to you.
Now, Mr. Mayor, this is the buffer, right?
Yes,
So he gains it.
So he gets all this?
yes, because of the fence line. The fence line right now, if you remember the JV varsity,
Right,
JV baseball field's here, and the shot put is here.
Right.
So there's a natural fence line here. And there is a grading issue. The grade is higher here and it goes down. And this grows like this. So if we went straight with a 15, it would do this. Do you see what it would do?
Yeah, yeah.
It would go like a catty corner. So the idea is that, and then you lose all these trees. So the idea is if you take this point here and you just hit this fence line, which is 54 feet from the current fence, there's 54 feet between these two. And that'll make this hypotenuse.
Is this the fence that's up now?
This is a current fence that'll be removed.
To there?
Yes, this fence will be removed or turned.
Okay.
And then the school's gonna put their fence around here.
You what?
Now, they're gonna put a fence right on the property line here, because this is Acme. Acme is not getting a 15-foot buffer. They don't have it, because they already have the buffer. You see what they have? They have this.
Road.
Well, from the curb to the property line. And they were forced to plant those, they were forced to plant that. What's that?
He wants the fence turned then, right?
What's that?
The wooden fence, you're losing some, but you want it to go.
They're putting a regular fence going now.
It will be a chain link privacy fence. Yes, exactly. This is exactly that point. If you would Google map it, it's exactly where we said. Because what we're trying to do is, we're trying to give this, the reason it takes so long,
Yeah, why?
I'll tell you why it takes so long. You have to get all the people to agree. You have to get a surveyor. You have to come up with a plan. You have a conflict attorney. You have to have council only meets once a week. I get harassed that we take too long here. Let's be honest, I get harassed that we take too long. I would sit here till midnight tonight to get stuff done. You know, so, getting a conflict attorney, I got Joyce, I'm pushing her an hour before this meeting to get a resolution together. So let's realize this is not easy stuff,
Oh, I know that.
you know? And you gotta get everybody to agree.
Boo.
Okay?
I'm just glad that it's coming to a conclusion.
Does anybody want to see this
Is
map?
Is this the final thing?
Yes.
This is it?
This is
So
it.
what can we do to move this along and make it final?
You guys, you authorize the attorney to proceed on our behalf to start this.
So Michael.
The engineer already did this, and the engineer is gonna take this map, and he's gonna draw those lines in more permanently.
But it's not your line.
Show this being removed. And show this being removed.
And the school board's got to get a conflict attorney too, because they can't represent either side.
They have to get a conflict attorney also.
So that's going to take a
So
little
someone have to
bit
make a
more.
motion
Give it another
Yeah, need a motion.
6 weeks.
For what?
Last month to 6
for
weeks.
this, to appoint the attorney.
Oh, the school.
We have to make a
Yeah.
motion.
We did it already.
Oh, we did, we did the other one.
Yeah.
We did
We
the,
didn't do
Oh, I'm
Michael.
sorry. All right, so resolution 18-108 is a resolution appointing Michael Albano as the
We're getting
conflict
there,
attorney.
but it's still
What's
gonna
the
be a
next
little
motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that
Motion by Ms.
motion.
Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call.
Mrs. Fascio,
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Mr. Farrow?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
And Mr. Root.
Yes.
He sent an email to me, and I apologize, it wasn't
Progress.
CC'd you.
Progress.
Do you check your email? Okay. This is going to be removed, and that's side. That's what he's talking about. All this gets removed.
I got the woman's meeting. What is that? Oh, I'm.
These
okay.
two lines merge. The easement goes right down the middle of this. You see that?
When the time comes though, to
Yeah, I'm
execute
not
this
secretary,
deal.
so I don't have to be on.
Yes.
This one I think you're okay.
There's a new, this line comes right down the
Is
middle.
he paying his rent?
Did he hand
It's
you
an
the check?
easement for
He
both
said when he
these
pays his
properties.
rent.
Picture of
We're vacating this. The school is not getting this. That's,
Is that
yes,
why he's
yes,
not paying
exactly.
his rent?
Oh, it looks like it was burned.
Yes, it's 15 feet.
Looks like it's
You remove that dock.
That John has a scroll on.
So,
break you a leg.
That's right.
It's gonna fix this problem.
I've
See
seen
what that
that
does for these two people?
He doesn't
It
use
fixes
it
it.
as
So
an
now we got
excuse.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Worst case scenario.
John didn't
We
accept
give this
it.
easement
I know.
to this
I have to look at
person.
it.
We give this easement to this person. These
I'll
people.
look for it
That's not my
tomorrow.
question.
But then that the lease
If
states
it says
that
he's
he's
responsible,
responsible for.
Well, then it is what it is.
Do whatever you want to this problem.
And you know that he, you know what he adheres to
Oh, you
the
mean over
lease.
here?
It might
Yeah,
say,
that's right.
diligent responsible for the maintenance, right?
That's what they said is in the
Yeah,
lease.
they're not gonna see your face.
But he also has the terms of the rent collection.
Either way, if we're responsible, we're gonna take care
These
of
two
it.
people,
We're gonna do something.
they
Don't
don't
let
want
it let it
it,
go.
but we're gonna have to go after them. We're gonna have to let them know.
An
that
excuse.
Right, that's right.
We're not gonna want them to damage the house.
Yeah, lacrosse is
We
practice.
have that one other
Baseball
thing to
fields
do.
during the spring.
But I'm sure he's got a bunch more.
It's Gareth Fuller.
Authorization for him to sign.
It's his property here. Yeah, his fence goes all the way out to there.
Yeah.
He uses this right now as an access to come to his house. He cuts across this, correct? He cuts across that to get into his backyard. Careful. Giving him an
All
easement.
right, sounds good.
Good? Got this? You're gonna get it done in a week?
Request authorization.
I'm gonna send Alan McKellen out.
You got to tell me that. This is not, who's getting this?
We knew who
right
to
now?
send to.
Should be
Eleanor,
this problem.
you're on.
Are we doing
Give him a
that?
week.
Are we going from this corner to here, split it like that? And then this just comes perpendicular like that? That should go to him?
Well, you said that corner doesn't want that property.
You know, you're right.
They-
These two
they
people,
don't.
these people don't want it. So why don't we just give Garofalo all the way to here? And give Garofalo all the way to there. So this is Garofalo. And then this one here is this person here. And then that one extends. And then this line extends here, yeah. So you got that. Okay?
Can I do it in a week?
1 week. No, it's this. And our school board.
Oh, yeah.
What's left?
Oh, yeah, Dennis,
Let's
yeah.
do payment of bills.
No, the authorization for the proper officials.
Oh, yeah, sorry, there's a little line in here. Request authorization for the proper officials to sign the supplemental 2018 CDBG award for $250,000. The county sent over the
Agreement.
agreement, I have to sign it, I guess Joyce has to sign it.
Is that
So,
something else, or is that 2018?
One second, I have it here.
It's this.
We need to make a motion for that?
Barrel Hall. No,
Because you also got
No.
250 for the road.
this is for the road.
That's not something else.
That wasn't supplemental? Oh, that's our award. Oh, that's 2000, it's not the supplemental, Joyce, cross that out. It's the 2018
You wanna look
CDBG
at it?
award.
Make sure that it's either the
He's
regular
right,
or
I'm
the
sorry.
supplemental.
It's not supplemental, it's the current.
It is the 2018 award.
Yes. Cross out the red supplemental.
So we don't need a motion.
We do.
We do need a
Because I had to sign it to get the 250,000.
No, and the letter isn't really specific either. This is not the addition. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to request authorization for the proper official to sign our award.
I'll second that motion.
Who was that? I'm sorry, John?
Me and.
Okay, motion by
What'd you say?
Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Kelly. Roll call, please.
No, you don't need.
Oh, roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll sign that agreement. All
All
right. Payment of bills.
I love it.
Is there a motion to pay the monthly bills? Motion by Mr. Root, second by Mr. Lobenstein.
Who
Roll.
made the motion?
Root and Lobenstein.
Can you tell us how to do it?
You're too loud over there.
Are we skipping departments?
We're gonna do roll call. Yeah, we are.
Okay.
I don't have any.
Roll call,
Aye.
Mrs. Passio. Yes. Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Farrell.
Yep.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
And that's it.
All right, that's it.
Okay.
All right, before we go to, I think we're going to skip committees if you're all okay with that, except
I'd
for,
just like to say one thing.
Yes.
Saturday, townwide yard sale, 8 to 2. So put all your stuff out on your lawn and sell it, and I hope you
And
make a
people
lot of
can
money.
list their property address on the Facebook page.
Absolutely, go to your Facebook page, go to your go to our website,
Go to our Facebook page, our website.
and you can register. And put your name, and the weather's gonna be beautiful.
Okay, and just to
71 degrees and
to
beautiful.
make sure you guys remember this, there's a 5K run at Triton High School
Oh, I got
on
you.
Saturday. It was signed off on,
Left it on my.
and that's why we don't meet Monday morning meetings.
This is
Saturday
about it, we said it at every public meeting.
is a
Email.
5K run is at the Triton High School. It starts at 8:30. Cones have to be put out there. Police needs to be made aware. Jim, can you make sure the police department knows, remind them about the 5K run at the high school this weekend?
Okay,
It was approved. The chief of police signed it, the fire chief signed it, the OEM signed it.
so then they should know.
If it doesn't happen, Jim, I'm calling you.
Oh,
I'm running a 5K.
So is he.
I am too.
And they better be out there.
Takes down
What
the
time you gotta be there?
I'm going a little early because I gotta put these signs up.
Thumbs it.
What time does it start?
Starts at 8:30, but
8:30.
registration is at 7, I think.
7, 8:30.
But we don't close the road till like 8:15, they close the road. And I just let people- It's about a week.
It starts what time?
Starts at 8:30, it's over by now.
Oh, okay, so.
If you run slow, you're back.
I just think I
We
would.
take the finish line.
Everybody to make sure they.
We're gonna have a proclamation on, Paul sent it to me, did he send it to anyone else?
Yeah, yeah, I got it.
And the breaks or fatalities day?
Oh, I can see that.
All right, so I have that for Tuesday.
Yeah, for Tuesday.
All right, we're gonna let the professionals do their thing, and then we'll do my other stuff, unless anybody has anything else. Engineering, you wanna go first?
Sure. Submitted my report in writing, bunch of stuff to go over, I'll try to do it as quick as possible.
No, take your time.
We submitted the Safe Routes to School application to add sidewalks. It was for $432,000 for additional sidewalk. I'm still trying to coordinate with the school to get a letter of support. I have to submit that as a supplemental thing, so if anybody.
Eleanor, could you get that for us?
What was that?
You go to the school board meetings, don't you? We're looking for a letter of
The letter of
support.
support I sent to the principal and the secretary there.
Okay.
I got a response back.
Okay.
But
Local
like,
or regional?
The local.
I went to
Safe
both
Routes.
school,
It's our local.
both school principal, that's who was sent.
The safe routes to school, is that it?
Yeah, I sent them the draft letter of what it should say, and I'm just waiting to get it back from them,
How long ago did you send it?
a week and a half ago. And all I need is a PDF copy, which just gets submitted electronically.
Okay,
I can send you what I sent them. just
okay.
as a little
That'd be
reminder.
good, because they might have gotten lost in the shuffle.
When's the
Uh,
next meeting? You
We
know?
don't have to wait for the meeting, it just could be the principal's.
See somewhere
I
we
just,
got-
I just need, yeah, I just
Okay.
need Billy to sign it.
Our DOT applications are due October 8th. We were informed today that the 8th is a state holiday, so they said they would like them by Friday the 5th, so we're working on trying to get those done before then. And
In the application, are you gonna state that the borough's putting up money also to do this, or you put that on there? I think we could say that, right? As part of our road program, a continuation?
yeah, we can try and sell as best as possible.
Okay.
We're also currently working on some proposals for that Scout building, right-of-way research for the Guard Terrace, Chestnut Street area, and we're trying to come up with some design fees for the application we get. Black Horse Pike traffic study.
Can I pause you back there?
Yes.
Just let everybody know on the, I got a phone call from the attorney who's representing the Scouts. He's one of our attorneys also, so it's a little tricky. Andrew Viola is representing the Scouts. So he's getting the deed together.
Oh,
So that
good.
we'll have a legal description, we'll be able to look at this a little more detailed and see what we can do with that.
Okay.
And he's coordinating.
So Michael, or Andrew Viola, if you want, if you
So,
need to contact.
so he's coordinating with the RY.
No, the Girl
With the
Scouts.
Girl Scouts, the Boy Scout, the Scout building.
Yeah, but what about the softball building?
That's a separate issue. He represents only the Girl Scouts. Pro bono. He represents them.
Black Horse Pike traffic study, we spoke to Shropshire today, they're going to be doing their traffic counts hopefully next week. They had to wait for school to start, and and they have a bunch of traffic counts they're working on for other clients, and we're online next week supposedly. So hopefully, weather dependent, things like that, they'll be out there doing their traffic counts.
Do we see strips in the street, or do
No,
we just see?
they see
manually?
people out there manually pushing buttons. The 2018 DOT project, it was awarded last month. Contracts were sent out to Landberg. I just got contracts back today, so I'll be bringing them over tomorrow once I look at them, get you to sign them. I'm trying to set the pre-construction meeting up for Friday, October 5th at 10 a.m. Is that okay with you, Bob? Okay. I have to give DOT and CDBG enough notifications, that's why I'm waiting for Friday. But I will send out notices
Okay.
tomorrow regarding that.
Harry, you'll be there, right?
Elm Avenue and Broadway, that job was all closed out with Landberg and the Borough did everything they had to do. I just have to pour everything together and send it to DOT so we get the final 25% reimbursement on that job. The ADA hallway, we talked about that change order. We do have a punch list. We're trying to get them back out here. I've not got the schedule for when they are coming out, but we are holding retainings and they will not be getting that until they take care of the punch list.
So let me just say,
Landberg?
No.
WJ Grove.
WJ Grove.
Okay, because they really need to, because we just paid another change order.
We haven't paid them anything. That was just,
I know.
that was just the approval process.
I'm just saying. that
You're going to
it's
hold
not-
back until?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me just say, the keys are now in for council, correct?
I don't have since we had to give so many to construction for all the inspectors to come in, I'm short one, I believe, what, do you have a key to the front door yet?
Nope, but give everyone a key but me. And
Okay, I have 6 of them.
give everyone a key, and so everyone has a key to the front door. And the construction department will be opening that side door now. So people will be able to start using both doors to go,
Go
circulate
to
through
the
the
other part of the building.
Starting tomorrow.
Except on court day.
Except-
At court time, 2 o'clock. We have to lock that door because everyone coming in has to go through the metal detector from
Right.
the side door. So it will be locked at 2 on
Gotcha.
court
So we'll
day.
have to put some type of signs that says
Yeah.
for
Now,
security
our
purposes.
mailboxes, they're in the lot.
They're there, but they're not being used.
Yes, I just have to finish we made names and I just have to assign the numbers.
And then we could just use
Come
our
in the
key
front
to
door.
open the door
Correct.
and go in and get
And
them
then you
out.
could, yes.
And now that'll make that whole area accessible now. That'll all be a public area, even upstairs. So we'll have to think about how we're going to secure
Well,
different
we'll
areas.
have the cameras.
Oh, we'll have 32 cameras, so.
I love it. 32 cameras.
Not in the report,
I'll
but,
dress incognito.
not in my report, but we're also working on getting 3 quotes to put that 2-hour fire door in, which is holding up the CO. Right now, we're under a TCO. We are 3 quoting that with different vendors.
If you can send it to me, I'll get that Rabinowitz class to do it too.
That's what I just want to know who.
It was Paul Rabinowitz class out of Philadelphia.
Okay. South Oakland Avenue and Washington Avenue, there was a DOT punch list to get rid of the ponding issue. We had Landberg install a swale to get water to flow across Ardmore. There's a noticeable dip there. It's the only way we can get it to be resolved. There are 2 dip signs out there, but we might want to refresh those a little bit and relocate them to right at the dip. I'll talk to Harry about that.
Public Works can do that, right?
See if he has any sign budget.
He knows how to dip.
But
January 1st.
I did rain check that. The swale was working fine. And Harry wanted me to check, we pulled the string lines like a 1/2 inch out of tolerance. And it's going to be, water's flowing, so I would just leave well enough alone. If we just put dip signs there, I think we'll be fine.
Is there any money left in that bond item? Like, say we want to put these 2.
Don't start.
The 2 dip
Which
signs.
bond, though?
This Oakland and Washington Avenue.
Is that from last year?
It's from 3 years ago.
No,
You moved all them already?
it's all been completed.
It's depleted? Okay.
Um,
Well, I'm trying to pay for the signs, and we did take a few trees out, and I did get a call. Remember, we agreed to take trees out, and at some point, we have to make a decision about some of these
Place
trees
them?
that we removed. I think the borough needs to come up with 1 or 2 or 3 different trees that we like, And when we have to go put a tree up, you know, we offer these trees.
Apple trees are nice.
It's so dirty.
Orange.
We had to get a little recommendation, right? Remember, we took the 2 trees, you took 4 trees, I mean,
Can they bear fruit, get something out of them?
plums.
How about a pear tree?
I got-
Pear trees, good for.
I got a list of 10 trees that are acceptable for sidewalk curb plantings.
Yeah.
Because there's only 3.5, right, 4 feet.
So I got it
on the
on the
road.
side.
And one of our biggest problems is the tree roots lift up everything.
Yeah.
We used 3 of those when we did the streetscape.
Harry has the list, I think the green team should pick
And
it.
then we have some trees on the pike that have died. So that's what I'm trying to say, if there was money left in these road projects, to, you know, finish these little issues that have lingered.
We're gonna spin the wheel.
Under general sewer engineer, there was a water main break out on Singley Avenue. So Harry called us out there to help with New Jersey American Water to make sure that they put the road back together right. Everything looks good. They do have to come back and do final restorations. They just had a cold patch out there, but we were there for fixing the pipe and backfilling and whatnot. Regarding the parking lot, there is some punch list stuff under their maintenance file. Landlord's going to be addressing those with some settlement in the parking lot and the brick pavers. They're going to be doing that when they come out to start the road program. I did talk to Anthony Bianco today, who's the new director of CDBG. We still had $23,000 left over from the parking lot project that we're transferring to the elevator project. He concurred that we can do that. I just have to advertise that and have a public meeting. So I was shooting for the October 30th Caucus meeting.
That's
So
fine.
I will give Joyce the language that goes in the paper. We have to advertise it.
To transfer the money?
And it's a public meeting to discuss the transfer of the money. So I will get that. to Joyce so we can-
There's 23,000.
You're finally putting my face in the elevator?
The sanitary sewer slip line, I don't know, did Len meet with, you know,
The
Len?
dates keep getting pushed back. Did you see those emails about meeting with this lawyer who represents, is that what you're talking
Yes.
about?
It's a lot.
Dan, I think you were part of that email.
In situ forms?
Oh, yeah, the water, for the water.
Would it be like the first week of October?
Second week of October.
Yeah, I never responded. I'll
All right,
contact you guys when you,
All right,
you can count.
all right, sounds good.
And
I'll,
just- And you're keeping us out of this meeting? Or you don't want us
I have
there?
no idea. I think they should be there.
I don't know, I didn't know.
They're the ones who've been fighting back, saying that they didn't follow the
I
contract.
didn't, Steve wasn't sure if Len, I
Well,
didn't know,
think he
I
needs to
didn't
be
know,
part of these emails.
I didn't know if Len was, so
I'll look in.
I didn't know if Len One was there or not. That's, I didn't know if he was trying to take care of it.
I don't know how I can answer the questions.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
You understand what happened? Like,
Yeah.
they're ordering a change order, and they're saying we should have to pay it.
Right, so,
Okay. Nothing new on that. The Lux, I'm working on that. I have my, I get it.
I was in my 30s when I started this.
My daughter was just graduating.
Remember when I called you?
Benefasa, you took care, you're going to take care of releasing that. There, just to clarify, they were substantially complete 2 years ago with that. We've just been trying to close out a few things, so there's no need for the 2-year maintenance bond. So that was in our letter that we just recommended releasing the performance bond, and they have no requirement for the 2-year maintenance bond. And the last one is Dunkin' Donuts. We sent a letter on June 7th telling what the bond and escrow requirements were for the drive-through. They submitted everything.
Everything's submitted.
And they said they wanted to reach out to us as soon as possible to start pre-con, and we reached out to them 2 weeks ago, and they haven't responded back. So.
I have one question for you on page 1,
Yes,
the second item. You talk about a problem on the tax map on
Yes.
Oak Avenue. I'm not aware of that. I'm aware of Park
there's a
Avenue.
couple of issues we're trying.
Okay, Park Avenue, has that been resolved yet?
We're looking into it.
Lot 80, lot 5, and 6. They've been reversed on the tax map.
We are making
Okay.
those changes. The other one had to do, I think it was Keith.
You're right.
It was, he was saying, Keith had us looking into one of these.
Okay. I just thought maybe Oak was a misprint and it
No.
meant Park. I didn't realize there was another.
No, there's a couple of them like that.
Okay.
I was up before.
He needs
Okay.
food.
Dan, did you have anything?
Happy to be back and progress.
Have to have that.
Harry, did you have anything additional than what we went over?
I do believe I was advised everything was covered. The only thing is, actually, I heard, did you cover this? I didn't know if you mentioned it.
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't see it.
October 27th, Green Team decided Clean to Clean Community, do a lake cleanup. We're going to be advertising on Facebook and the webpage. There'll be a meeting at Girls Softball. It's from 9 to 12. Coffee and donuts at 9, followed by pizza at noon for Mr. Ranieri.
Will that be rain or shine?
Rain or shine on it, I changed it.
Okay, good.
So with that, so
Because we've done it. rain or
this will
shine.
go up, so everybody knows.
That's wonderful.
October 27th.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
It's coming?
They were here and then it comes back again.
Oh, it's going to be installed?
Yeah, just for everyone's notice, the sign company that put the sign up, they got the parts, came out here, didn't work. I was notified to come back out tomorrow with more parts. So hopefully, it's all under warranty for 5 years, parts and labor.
Oh, yeah.
We just got caught in a, whatever, it's in a cycle and there's something cycling. So two things I didn't mention, under recreation, so I'm just gonna jump if anybody wants to jump in. Trying to get the 2 scoreboards ordered with the bond. We have a $35,000 recreation bond. One of the parts of the recreation was to put the 2 scoreboards up before the season starts. So,
I sent you an email asking, is that the one you wanted? Is that-
well, I sent it out, and I wanted to make sure that the committee and the RY approved it. So what I did is I got 2 quotes from the companies that have done work in the town before. The Triton billboard, or scoreboards. There's a second one coming. Did you need 1 or 2? I was getting 2. Yeah.
2 is
So,
always good.
yeah, we're getting 2. The company that did,
Varsity scoreboard.
the one, what's that?
One of them varsity.
One of them was varsity, and then one of them, I think that's the one we did at the baseball field.
Yep.
And then the high school uses Nevco, which is I just put that up for the field hockey at school.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, did you see that? So we're getting the 2 quotes, and I did talk to Public Works, and basically said that, at Public Works, with my assistance, we can put the 2 scoreboards up, because I've done it a lot. And I think they're
Is
more
one
than-
going on the big field for soccer?
No, this is just basketball.
Oh, okay.
Why were we thinking about
No,
soccer?
I just seen the guys out there.
Well, I think what we can do, we can talk about this, and this is to me a recreation / building / engineering, all of us, is, I'm not exactly sure what the $35,000 in recreation bond was exactly for. I know we talked about these scoreboards, but I can't remember or find any notes exactly what the 35, where that number came from. In our current bond, there's $35,000. Does anybody
I
remember?
think it has something to do with the Boy Scout.
I have it here.
You think it had to do something with the Boy Scout building? Maybe pay for
We were talking about originally doing a parking lot, but then it would be ADA accessible to the building. You were looking to do something at that location.
Well,
Was it mentioned in the?
How much are the,
league
the
bill?
scoreboards are gonna be about $6 grand. There's
Recreational
2 of them.
equipment? The
They
scoreboard?
typically,
Scoreboard, here it is.
let me read it.
G.
G, acquisition of various recreation equipment, including but not limited to scoreboard, together with the acquisition of all materials and equipment. So we have just the scoreboard, but if you think, and once again, if the committee and everybody wants to do the scoreboard at the baseball field, I think that's a tremendous idea because the school district is using that field as their home field.
You mean on the big field?
On the big field, is that what you were thinking?
yeah, just because I see, remember you guys were out there one, I just thought,
The softball field?
I don't know what, no, the big
The field you guys played on.
The piping was cracked and we got a fire violation.
Ah,
So we had to
okay.
repair the pipe.
on a scoreboard that hasn't worked in 20 years?
So we put a scoreboard out there, and if everyone remembers, we still had difficulty with the playground equipment at the VFW. So we could grab, so 35 minus 6 or $7,000 for these 2 boards would leave 28. We could either do the VFW playground, but once again, we don't own the land, but we do have an agreement with them. I don't know what we do. Maybe they were waiting for this release.
So the kids get hurt, is it still being used?
Oh, no,
I think you've
they
gotten rid of some of the
They
bad
took all the
pieces.
bad stuff away.
I mean, is 28 enough to do the playground equipment up there?
I would have to look back, I think it's in the ballpark.
I think it is.
28? Maybe those are 2 things, and maybe next year we do the field.
Or we do the scoreboard over there.
Playground.
Scoreboards are not that expensive, you can see they're only about $3,500 a piece. They're
I
not-
drive,
It's just
my grandchildren.
square boxes.
Yeah, they're really, and they're all LEDs and remote controls.
What fields are soccer using? Are they using green acres or they're using a small field?
Not just be able to be right where it's at, it's in the backfield.
Yes, thank you, that was great. That was great.
How much do you think it would
We
be?
just have to run by you.
So I'm actually hoping to get these scoreboards approved at the next council meeting.
Okay.
So if we can get everybody in agreement, next council meeting will authorize purchasing these 2 scoreboards. Is there anything else before I keep going?
The field behind, Block Bakery, what are we doing with that?
No,
That can be used for a practice area for soccer, that thing?
It is somewhat lit too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the ground that New Beginnings was looking at?
I don't know, it's behind my house, used to be the roller hockey rink with a water
you
tower.
guys might get lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Beginnings was looking at that. They wanted to think that maybe they could put a building up and,
You know, I did have it.
A lot of money to put a building up.
Oh my God, you guys are so lucky I left my papers. Do you want me to go get them? Okay, here's what I wanted to discuss, unless for some reason I forgot it.
No,
You
no,
guys-
yeah.
It is 7:38.
We'll be doing that tonight.
Here's the things that I had.
Actually, it's 7:46.
Yes,
This is-
yes.
this
If
is-
it's getting too late, let me just tell you what I wanted to go over, and it's my fault if I forgot it. I was a little sidetracked. Remember I brought up the ordinances, so I sent through Joyce, I like the way you wrote it, Joyce. It's really terrible when you wrote the email. Nick wants to change 12 feet to
Yeah,
18 feet. Nick wants to
It
change.
certainly wasn't me.
So I've got about 7 or 8 ordinances. Remember, we keep talking about it, but I gotta run these by these people. I
Do
don't
you have it?
usually-
You want to read it? I have the email.
No, can I go into my office and get
Can't you just email us?
What else do you want? You also have this.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. There's an ordinance right now in Runnemede that says you can't serve liquor before
Here you go.
noon. You have one?
Wow, I didn't know.
Okay, so, all right, here they are. Let's do some quickies. Wedding fees. I talked about this before. I did a wedding the other day, in the middle of the day. I mean, I try to be nice and convenient for people, but for me to leave work, go put a suit on, come here and do all this kind of stuff. The fees haven't been changed since 2007. I'm asking for your support to change the fee from $75 to $150. And the reason I came up with that number is, it's what other towns are charging. So I did a little research, and then I never go out of town, but in case another mayor comes in, I think that charge should be $250. I don't know if you've ever got married, the fees are anywhere from $150 to $300. So I think $150 is at the low end, and I'm just asking for that to happen. And remember, all the fees go to the borough, but I do about one a month,
How long does it take from the time you actually start getting dressed at time?
2 minutes.
about 2 hours.
Teresa?
It's about 2 hours time. You know, I used to give everybody a gift, but I ran out of gifts.
So,
I gotta figure
Now
out.
you
we
need
have
before
to
you get
fee
started.
for,
So I'd like to do this now.
You didn't say yes.
How would we do this? Now, this is a classic example where we're taking a number and we're changing a number. And the reason I picked that one, it's really easy to do that.
Even though you said that.
That's it.
But I mean, the entire thing, or do we just say that one?
I gave you the paragraph, right in the email, I told them what it was.
Yeah.
Just amend that, you'll just amend that.
Yes,
paragraph?
goes to me, the borough splits it. I split it with the borough.
Oh, you
The borough gets fees.
So it's been 37.50, 37.50?
No, they charge other fees too.
7,
So
18,
They
whatever.
charge the marriage license fee and then the wedding ceremony fee. But I get paid as an employee. Okay. I hate to even bring it up, it's embarrassing for me, but it is what it is.
sure is.
Okay, so,
First reading.
first reading next week.
Yeah.
So now, under the R1 zone, the planning board has asked us, and I recommended it, that we change the height of garages in our town. From right now, we don't allow a garage to be higher than 12 feet. Now, if anybody knows, we're all 6-foot men, most of us here, and you know, at 12 feet is nothing. You can't have a roof or anything like that. So the last application we had in front of the board, we allowed 18 feet. The last couple were 18
Yeah,
feet.
Kevin is
18, and Derek Starks was 18, and 18 seems to be a pretty good peak. Now, we could still, everyone's still able to get a variance if they can justify why they would want to go higher than 18. But 18 seems to be, you know, a decent pitch. You know, you don't want to have a pitch like this, you want to have a pitch like this. So under the R1 zone, the lawyer has it, it's under H, it says private detached garages and other accessory buildings. Right now, it says garages shall not exceed 12 feet in height. I'd like us to change that to 18 feet.
Yeah,
Per the
that's
record.
reasonable.
Is that fine?
Yes.
You're saying attached garages or
Doesn't matter.
any
No,
garages?
unattached.
Detached.
Detached.
So,
Okay.
picture that.
Okay.
That point,
Attached garage.
that point now will be 18 feet
Right.
to the top of that peak, where it used to be 12 feet,
Yeah.
like that, very, very low. In the R2 district, the same thing. Now, if everybody knows the R1 district, it's the more narrow lots. The R2 district are lots up to a minimum of 100-foot frontage. So same thing, it would be under H, same thing, garage shall not exceed 12 feet in height. I would say we would do 18 feet, I think that gives it to you. It's not gonna eliminate all the variances, but it's gonna, what we're trying to do is eliminate people to come in front of the planning board for silly things. We always say yes, so why are we making it? So those two things. I want to bring this one up, even though Joyce is probably going to get mad at me. In the R1 zone, we allow small monkeys,
Oh, yeah, I know that, I think we should be taking that.
and
Monkeys?
It's got why, and do you know, and then, yes, it mentions animals.
Where is the other one?
Monkeys.
in the residential zones, the majority of the houses
Do
are
we have any more?
Smaller.
the keeping of any commonly accepted household pets, such as dogs, cats, canaries, parakeets, parrots, goldfish, tropical fish, hamsters, gerbils, and small monkeys.
Well, my neighbor had a cappuccino monkey.
Do you think we should allow small monkeys?
Why not?
Has it been an issue?
No, but you know what's been an issue? Is pot-bellied pigs.
Oh, I
Or
love
should we
the
eliminate
little guy. Put the pot-bellied pigs in there too.
Don't, if it's not broke, you know.
Well, I think,
How many people have a monkey?
well, here's the problem about ordinances. Now, answer if I'm wrong there, Mr. Attorney. I'm under the impression there's two different philosophies here. One is you're specific about what you're allowed to do, and that tells you what you can do. If you're silent in what you can do, does that allow people to do it, or you're not allowed to do it because you're silent?
Maybe.
Thanks.
Nick,
That's
why is this
absurd.
monkey coming up?
Because I started reading the ordinances,
Because you're gonna read it.
and I read it, and I said, if we're gonna fix the garages, and we need to fix, like if everyone said to me,
I say we
And
replace the
somebody
monkey with
probably had a
pot-bellied
monkey and they made an ordinance and put it.
there's a recommendation. What do you think about replacing the monkeys with pot-bellied pigs?
pigs.
I agree.
We have gotten calls for pot-bellied pigs.
I agree.
Joyce is
I think it's
upset,
terrible.
but
You're gonna have the same
If it
problem
makes you happy, get
you
rid of the monkey.
do, when you do.
Monkey.
the-
But that won't be
Chickens,
okay back.
We're still working on the chickens.
Mr. Lawyer, do we use more generic terms that say commonly, that the borough allows common, or do you don't want to use words that
Monkey will-
Pets.
you want to be specific?
I think you just
So
take.
you wanna be-
the-
That's what I
like
do,
it
is prove
is.
it's common somewhere.
This guy can do
Let's put it this
Have the same
way,
problems you
usually,
do.
more often than not,
Yeah.
it is unless it's
I have some
forbidden.
books you can read.
So in case it's forbidden, it's allowed. So
So the fact that it doesn't say.
And we don't even limit-
You want to go out and get a
What else
monkey.
other than
we
monkey?
don't limit how many dogs and animals we have. Is that something we need to think about?
No,
No,
no.
I
Not
think
today,
that.
not today.
Come on, really?
Okay.
There's people that have.
Don't you ever hear terrible stories of people with 100 cats and the cats are starving?
So that's
and they're in
where,
their
that's where
feces?
our officer comes in, that we have, our control officer.
You know, you didn't let your chickens either, that's something.
I don't like
Oh,
chickens.
God.
Well,
I feel like the meat tag guy.
Well, you would-
Okay, we'll skip that. All right, so let's do some other stuff. Okay, and I didn't bring this up, but I think it's important. In the R1 zone, the district allows for 1.5 driving spaces per lot. What's 1.5
Stupidest
spaces?
thing I know.
Small car, put a little small.
Two tiny cars.
Driveway. We want 2-car driveways. We have 1.5 car
I
driveways.
can't fit my TNR truck.
I would like to change that to 2-car.
Yeah, it's good.
Half is
We're all for
probably
that.
for people who have vans that want to have a little extra room, taking people in and out of their van.
I think the ordinance was written in 1970, before there were 2 cars in every house. Because the ordinance was written in 1970, it hasn't been changed.
So what's he say exactly?
It says residential zone should have 1.5 spaces per dwelling
That's what I
unit.
was hoping was.
I want to make it 2.
They were throwing you a bone
Now,
to make a bigger drive.
Is that in there just a driveway? Then the-
This would only be under new construction. This would only be under a
So they
substantial
have to have
renovation.
2 spots, right?
Yes. What I'm saying, if a new house gets built in town, we have 1 built on Pine, we have 2 built on Pine, we have 1 built on Davis,
I'm thinking that we should say that people should have at least two parking spots.
Absolutely.
Technically, they're only allowed to do 1.5 driveway, right?
Well, they have to do a minimum of 1.5. You can always do more, but the minimum is 1.
We're good with that.
And I want to make sure our minimum is 2.
Let's do it.
Everybody agree?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
You can go out and shovel their snow when they snow. Make them-
I don't even give you the chapter and the,
Yeah, I'll make sure
I
I,
give you the today, yeah.
but I didn't give you this one. This is a new one, the parking spaces. I don't have that.
yeah, I apologize. I found
Not the
something.
signs, Nick.
Hey, I'm getting to it.
Good.
Are you even highlighting this? What is not? Oh, this is highlighted. Here we go. Okay, so one of the problems we're having is temporary signs. You know, we have a code enforcement official who is very by the book. So we have an obligation to change our ordinances to make them what we feel is adequate. So one of the complaints that I've gotten a lot about from businesses in town, I think everyone else has gotten complaints, is signs. Signs is a big one. That to be a business-friendly community, we have to be a little more friendly. So I'm going out of order, but it's easier for me to read it this way. One of the number one things that's happening right now is electronic message boards. And you say, well, aren't they permitted in our town? Well, they are, but the ordinance says electronic message boards are permitted for institutional uses only. Well, we all know that Antonetta's had an LED board forever. Do we want to bring these people in for something that we feel is adequate at the high school, it's adequate at the elementary schools, it's adequate for the borough? It's there. Now granted, there are still other regulations in here, but what I'd like to say is electronic message boards are permitted in the commercial zones and in general, where the businesses are.
We agree.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
no,
absolutely, absolutely
Okay,
agree.
fine. The second problem we have is we have an ordinance that only allows signs to be 16 feet high. Now, you say, why is that an issue? It's not a huge issue, but what it's doing is it's forcing people to come in front of the planning board for a couple of feet. So right now, it says each freestanding sign must be, shall not exceed 16 feet in height. It's a minimal thing, I'm recommending 18 feet. It's a small thing, but what it does is it encompasses most of the signs that are in our town now. So some of the pre-existing signs, the pre-existing signs won't have to, we want people to maintain their properties. They're afraid to do so if they go to change it, they'll have to conform to our current ordinance. Well, that means that people don't want to do it. They don't want to give up their height, they don't want to give up their square footage. So I'm just saying to go to 18 feet high, it's very minimal.
Is it now 16?
It's 60, it's only 2 feet. It's
So let's
not
go 20.
You want to go 20?
It's not going to stick over a building.
Do I hear 20?
Right here, right here.
As a sign person, what do you think?
You know, it's a tough question. I'm going to tell you why. Because if we're on Route 70 in Cherry Hill, I'm going to say a higher sign is better for that traffic. You know, we don't have a big commercial district, so we have very limited the Black Horse Pike. I don't think the signs need to be too high. Like Wells Fargo is a great classic example. Wells Fargo is just way too high. It's ridiculous. But Wells Fargo is never going to change their sign. You want to know why? Because they'd have to conform to the ordinance. So they're just going to change the plastic and things like that, or they're going to come in front of the zoning board, which everybody has the right to do. I'm not opposed to 20. I don't think it's,
Most most buildings are 20. You put it up to?
well, that's what it is. It cannot exceed 20 feet. 18 was just a compromise to just eliminate some of these applications. You know, Cooper came in front of us, if you guys remember. You know, half the applications were for signs because, oh, we don't allow this, we don't allow that, and stuff like that. So if you want to do 20, I'm okay with it. I was only recommending 18.
I'm
I'll
fine.
take your recommendation as a sign guy, so.
Well, I don't think Mike's been unreasonable.
Well, I just don't think 20.
19.
I don't think 20.
I'll say 20.
Let's do 20.
You know?
All right, to 20, so we're going to change that. I'll say you do 18.
I think you're right, Mike. I think the 20
Yes,
is
20
good.
is-
20 is not ridiculous.
20 is good.
So here's the big one that's bothering a lot of people in town, is the temporary sign ordinance. So temporary grand opening special signs are permitted for commercial uses, including occupants of shopping centers on a limited basis. Such sign may not exceed 24 square feet. Each site or use may display such signs for no more than a total of 6 weeks out of a calendar year. The sign must comply with all requirements to protect the public health and safety. So here's the problem with that. You're anybody, and you want to put a sign up. Okay, fine, 6 weeks. Well, what happens next week? Who's keeping track of the 6 weeks? You can't put a
Keith
second.
does.
Keith does, believe me.
So what Keith and I have discussed was, really I know it sounds like going from one extreme to the other, but I think we just almost eliminate this entire paragraph and basically say, temporary grand opening or special sale signs are permitted. And pennants, I know that sounds crazy,
How long
but
are
we
they
don't
permitted?
allow pennants in
How
town.
long are the temporary ones permitted for?
Here's where it gets a little tricky. Permitted for commercial and office uses, because you do have doctors.
Right.
They need to do that.
The dentist and all.
Office uses. Such signs may not exceed 24 square feet. So I think we still limit it to a 3x8 banner or smaller, things like that. I think we do a max, we say no more than 2 signs at a time. So if someone wants to have 2 signs up, I think that's okay. That was my recommendation.
For how long?
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to limit it. I was going to say the signs must comply with all requirements to protect public safety.
I don't know,
And
that
must be
must be
must be maintained in good working order. So my concern is, you're right, if somebody puts a little flag pennant up that says, I sell insurance. I'll give an example of someone who's complaining. It's the Cosenza Insurance Agency. He wants people to know he sells auto insurance. So he went and bought, not from me, he bought these flag things that you can buy online. They're like, you ever seen them? They're like a little banner. Well, Keith told me how to take them down. Well, if they're in good taste, and I know that's a very subjective thing, to say something in good taste. So I think if we use language like must be maintained and must be maintained,
Cannot be ripped, torn.
then you go out there and cite them and say, do it.
I'm all for the signs, and I'm all for business people promoting their business. The challenge we have with the way the Black Horse Pike is right now,
Yeah.
there's no frontage. This building's come right out to the sidewalk. So we have to have something just mainly
It's
for
gonna look,
that.
it's
Until
gonna
it-
look trashy.
You
if
can't have one
everybody-
after another every 3 feet.
For as long as they
It would
want.
be a crazy look.
Well,
I mean,
That's
they
the
could
problem.
have signs
That's
up
the
there
only
floating
thing.
around
So it could
forever.
work as
so I can tell you
far-
what other towns do. Now, you do have to get a permit for each sign. Here's what other towns do. Cherry Hill does 30 days, and then they send you a fine. Other towns don't even deal with it. Collingswood, you put a sign up, it comes down within an hour. I mean, it's all over the place. I don't know what the right answer is. I really don't know what the right answer
We need
is.
to have some.
But I do know that the complaint of businesses is that we're too strict with something as trivial as
Well, there needs to be
something out there. Now, you're thinking that there's going to be this proliferation of signs all over the place.
My thought was.
I hear you. So
And
what would
never
be the
take it
compromise?
down, and
My
never
fault,
take
my-
it down.
How about at the discretion of?
My thought is if the business, you have to
Who's gonna
set
keep
back
track?
so far, and it's not an issue. If you're right up front and prominent, then it has to be different rulings for that, just that situation.
Well,
I say we change it and then revisit it in like 6 months, 9 months.
I want to see if it's a problem.
Okay.
I'll give an example, the hair salon, she's mad that she put 2 banners up. She got fined for it. She got cited for having 2 banners. Eventually, and all she wanted to say was whatever she wanted to say over here, and whatever she wanted to say over here.
Rita's Water Ice, the same problem.
That's a good one, and they help us all the time. No, I'm all for it. If we want to try something to see how it works, we can change it, right?
Yeah, all right, and we can amend it at another time. It just takes 2 months.
I'm okay with it. I think-
All we're doing is the line, not redoing this whole.
All right,
Or-
so what are you saying? What's?
Well, we'll type it up and we'll review it and then we'll have it typed up.
I just don't want trashiness out there.
So we all agree we're gonna,
Well, if it's maintained in good order.
When we have our women's club,
That
we
gives us
put
some play,
signs
right?
all over the thing.
Yeah, the grant.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous, and it's obscuring your view, and it's a hazard.
Then,
So that's where the public
Then at the
requires to protect the
discretion.
public health and safety.
And I
Right.
think the stores are too close to the.
And that gives the zoning officer some direct discretion, right?
I think we should do is a separate ordinance for each area. You know what I mean, that we do, rather than like one where it's like all these random sort of,
what do you mean?
like, I mean, rather than one ordinance for
Thank you.
each and every change we make, maybe the category, one, maybe do like 2 or 3 ordinances. You can look at it once I have your change.
Okay. I mean, Joyce gave you about 6 different small
Yeah.
ones. And these were basically, it was the height of the sign, it was the height of the garages. I haven't even gotten to impervious coverage.
I think that what Dan might be saying is when you're talking about businesses that are connected by adjoining the wall, or we're all connected, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. If they all had things out front of their store,
Oh my God,
just
it
the
would
whole
look like
by
a
the
garage.
store.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh.
I'm talking about how we're writing the ordinance.
Yeah, I just talking about the.
That's all my concern is.
Yeah, I don't like that look.
And I see that.
I don't know where we have, yeah.
How do we allow,
That's the other problem.
you have a store, I
A
got
little bit of time.
So we'll talk about this one. This one was a little hard. Joyce, what was the other one?
I think you hit them all, didn't you?
I know, that's what I'm concerned.
No, except for the ones I forgot. You guys got so lucky.
Here they are.
At the discretion
The
of.
section changed to have electronic signs.
No, I brought in more tonight.
You know,
That's
I
all
left.
you gave me.
we need to be business
We
friendly
do.
and we're.
We do.
You changed the height of the
But it
garages,
hasn't been touched in a while. When you do.
marriage fees.
Want to be
Well-
worded right.
Or how about if I can't do this? See, I can't shoot an email out to everybody to review everything.
No,
Send separate.
no, you can't do that.
And you just circumvent,
You can't serve.
It would-
cheating.
it would-
You can send information.
This is why I think this is the opportunity to have these kind of
So here's
discussions.
the, no, you can send information.
Why, you don't have the subbies for next office?
Right.
I feel like we keep, like you said, Al, we keep pushing things off, and little things like this would make things better, fixing things, take some pressure off the planning board. Planning board's getting busier because people right now are doing a lot of garages. You saw it, how many garages have we done?
Oh, you have more coming in the next.
I'm aware of it, so I'm trying to, I see what the planning board's doing, and I'm bringing it to council, saying, if we fix the ordinances, they don't have
You're
to experience.
specifically allowed to have information sent out. What you can't do is a back and forth kind of thing. and-
So, for example,
They circumvent.
if I send the ordinance out for,
You can send the ordinance out, everybody else can't reply.
okay,
Right.
is everybody okay with that?
Reply.
So what I'll
They'll
do,
reply directly to me or.
and I don't do blind CCs, because then they will,
Right.
they will reply.
Well, what about what we gave Dan so far?
That's a good start, but I figured I had everybody here and I could do some homework in the next month.
And we get rid of the monkeys? Monkeys aren't on here, and the parking spots are not on what I sent.
I wanted to bring everybody's attention, that we have ordinances out there that have been around since 1926.
Yeah, it's gonna take
And monkeys.
And we
don't
need to
always
start
just
looking at
hours
somebody
and hours and days. I've already started. I've done it with Keith a few times, and I passed it off to him.
But what I want to do is,
Come back to me.
I want to resolve these issues prior to a problem happening. I'll give you an example. We have a whole ordinance, and I was going to bring it tonight, and I'm just going to remind everybody about it. If you get a chance, go look it up. It's about septic systems in the town. We're supposed to get inspections. We're supposed to do all these things that the borough's not doing. And that's my problem. Our predecessors passed ordinances, and we are not enforcing it. And I think that some of them should maybe be just wiped off the book and just make them go away. And then others of them need to be tweaked. And that's all I was getting at with the small monkeys. I just want to point it to your attention and say, let's look at some of this stuff. Let's talk about it and let's fix it. We have a master plan review that was just done. I'm waiting for the recommendations from the planning board to fix some of these other things, that help us make it more conducive for people to build stuff.
Have monkeys anymore.
The biggest
anyway.
thing, and the thing that's gonna
I don't even
change and
think
have an
they're
effect on this town immediately is not monkeys, it's the signs.
Oh,
So,
now I want a monkey.
we're all for, and you heard, everybody's for businesses doing better. We want to just put
Yes.
a blanket ordinance and change it so it's very business friendly, and then refine it and change it because it's too much of a problem, then we'll worry about it.
We'll do first reading on these 5 or 6 things. The first reading, and then we'll just keep biting and taking bites.
What are they, the 5, 6?
The couple, the sign stuff.
Read it
How
to
about
me.
every caucus, we do one or two, we make it a.
Fine.
Try to do one or two
I
each
agree.
caucus.
Signs, the garages, the fees, and things like that.
Okay, was there anything else, Joyce?
I do not have anything on the two-car.
We know, why don't we wait for the
Two-car garage.
engineer's report for the parking? Because maybe I'm jumping ahead on that.
Yeah, you didn't mention that to me.
Because the engineer was supposed to give us some land use changes from the master plan review. Understand?
Dan, can you do this
The
all
plan.
as one ordinance?
That's what I was just talking about. I think
And just let, chapter 395.
Is that how we should do it?
Here's what I think I should do.
Signs,
To the
yeah.
extent that it's all in one chapter, do one ordinance per chapter.
Just
Okay.
amend that.
And then the wedding fees would be that's a separate chapter.
Yeah, I would do it very close.
Okay.
Because it just makes it, you don't know.
And what, I had a lot more, but.
So
You did
that's,
good.
that's on for next
All
week.
right, can we do a closed session? Just a quick closed session.
Wait, can we do payment of bills and then go?
We did payment of bills. We're going to do good and welfare.
Which
We're
payment
gonna do-
of bills are they?
Yes.
We'll do the first one, is that
We're going to do public portion and a quick closed section to talk about contracts. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Is that fast?
Al Palisano, 831 North Oakland Avenue. Just to let you know, it was pouring out there. and the water was going down into the storm drain. It was working on Oakland.
Excuse me, how about your neighbor across the street though? How is his? Does he have a lot of ponding on his land?
A wee bit.
A wee or a lot?
I didn't walk
Okay.
by.
Okay, thank you. Bob, did you have anything?
We're over the, just one thing, just for the record, we're over the hill on the World War I Memorial. A lot of people stepped forward, and the only thing we have right now, I wanted to see you, is to try and get some pedestals.
Yeah, I know you called the office. There's a company called Gemini.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the borough.
Okay, well, I'll make sure that happens. Yeah, there's a company we combined, because you're right, Melmar bought the pedestal, or the Stockton College, or Hampton County bought it. We combined from a company out of Minnesota.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Paul,
I will.
one other thing, just air for civics. How big do we want to do everything for Veterans Day? It's a Sunday at 11 o'clock. I know that the VFW is planning on having a dinner or a luncheon there, but I think it's for the 100th anniversary, it might be well to be to get a keyboard player.
Yeah.
I called him yesterday. I'll follow up.
Let's try and get something more than just a ceremony,
Okay.
there, okay?
Okay, all right, I will call you, we'll get that on.
keyboard player or?
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, you used,
We got one. Right, Jim? We got one.
good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, let's, we're not gonna do business after but before we go into closed session, we're not gonna do business after the closed session, it's only gonna be 10 minutes. We're just gonna talk about a contract negotiation. But before we do this, I wanted to remind everybody about a ribbon cutting. Capelli's office is gonna reach out to us about the end of October for him to come down here because of the funds we got from community block grant funds and things like that. So we're gonna try to work something out where we have some type of ribbon cutting.
When?
End of October. So his staff is sending us over some dates that he's available, and we'll just do something, where we
That's great.
do something. I don't know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
The Borough Hall. Because we got the funds from the county. And
It's well deserved, it's a huge project, it looks great.
Okay, so at this point, we have a resolution,
You gotta close.
111.
You have to close, go to.
oh, is that, don't I have to do a resolution to close? Or no?
No, close.
Oh, motion. Is there a motion to close the,
Also move, I'll second that
go
motion.
into closed session? Motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're in,
No.
Just close the.
close to go out.
I
Okay.
need a motion to go into closed.
Motion to go into closed session.
So
I'll make a
excited.
motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Passio, all in favor?
Aye.
We're going into closed session.